they might set you up early with a couple of like nades to get you control of, say, like mid on Mirage or something. But it just feels like they go, hey, YEKINDAR, you're the newest kid to this team. We're going to give you the whole part of middle to yourself. Go nuts. And you just roll up connector and kill 3 people.
Don't tell everyone our strat.
Oh, okay. Shit. Yeah. Well, look, if the strat is based around YEKINDAR go take space and kill, right? I'm fucking super impressed. But like, yo, it's your boy Chatty B, and it's HLTV Confirmed episode 26 of season 5. If anybody's even keeping count, and thank you for joining us today.
Was that a fake Hawka intro?
What does that how Hawker does the intro?
It's something like that.
It's similar. It's similar actually.
Fuck, sorry, Hawker. If there's any copyright infringement there, I'm sure we'll message Martin, he'll fix it. All right, anyway, episode 26, HLTV Confirmed. As you guys can see, and you just heard, we have YEKINDAR. I need to also quickly say a big shout out to Extrafy, who are the sponsors of the show to make this one happen. You'll see some of their ads darting through, and they make this all possible. On today's show, we're definitely going to be digging into CIS Counter-Strike with YEKINDAR in the hot seat, talking about the fact North are no longer in CS, first impressions on teams like GODSENT, EXTREMUM, ENCE's new international team. We'll look at what's been going on over there with Blast Premier for the start of their season for 2021, and just recapping off on all those things. So let's introduce the crew. We got Striker here. Now, Striker, there's a lot of people out there, and they want to know more about you, mate. So I'm going to quickly fire you off some questions and answer these as quickly as you can, all right?
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Single or taken?
What?
Single or taken?
Oh, single.
All right. How tall are you?
Oh, 190.
Do you play any sports?
Used to, not anymore.
Do you have any piercings?
Nope.
All right. What is another? I just Googled random shit. This is all terrible questions. I should have prep read this.
True.
Who's your most hated teacher? What's their name?
I didn't really have one.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I loved school, but I didn't hate anybody in particular.
All right.
This is a classic striker answer.
Beach or pool?
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, we got some out of him. Prof, do you have any questions for me this evening?
Yeah. What's going on with the mustache?
All right. I was gonna not talk about this and just see how long we could go. Now, one second. Just give me 1 second. Hold on. I'll literally no. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right. See, I'm already back. I'm putting the headphones in. I just couldn't stretch that far. Now, in Germany, these ones here are mandatory masks now, right? Like the FFP2 or whatever the fuck they are, or the surgical ones, right? And I didn't have any of the surgical ones, so I had these. And I had a really big beard. If you guys remember the episode last time around, it was getting bushy and shit. And when wearing these masks on the beard, it's really itchy. So I kind of wanted to keep something ugly on my face. So the only option was this mustache. And I didn't know if I was going to have it for the stream or not, but I can sit here and do this. So it's just because I wanted to keep some facial hair. And the mask's itchy. So nothing exciting. That's a boring answer, right?
Yeah.
No, it was a good one for me, I think.
Okay, now look, YEKINDAR, you're obviously here, mate. Normally I'd do like a whole like you can't talk till we jump into the hot seat thing, but I want to do a couple things before we get into the hot seat because we need to help with my ignorance. Now, moments ago before we started, I was actually asking you questions about Latvia and how the fuck you can speak Russian, and then we ended up delving into post-World War II history, right, of like something that was happening there. So basically, because I'm sure the three of you have a much better I'm an ignorant Australian, right? But the three of you obviously have a much better grasp of what the fuck happens in Europe. So just everybody on that side, some people can speak Russian? Is that what's going on? Is that what am I misunderstanding here? Like, it just feels like everybody can speak Russian.
Well, like countries from post-Soviet Union, like a lot of people actually like who speak Russian stayed live there. You know,
Okay.
like Russian like war, like I don't know, soldiers, and most of them had kids here. Then they teached Russian to the kids, and then the
okay.
kids teach Russian to the other kids, and etc.
And
etc.
then
etc.
you have YEKINDAR.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. So what other countries close to yours are like that? Because no joke, in Australia, all I remember them teaching us about war history was, and it's probably history you guys don't even know, was Gallipoli, where we got sent, the Australians and New Zealanders got sent to the wrong beach, and then we all just got killed. Like, that's the only bit of history we learned about the war. So, like, otherwise, I got no idea. So
I was going to ask you about like Australia's role in the world or the Second World War, because
we
I have
did
no
something,
fucking
right?
idea.
We were there. I think we were like, "Hey guys, we're here," but I don't think we did anything good. I don't know. I'm probably offending a lot of people.
Probably
right
turned
now.
up in flip-flops or in thongs or whatever.
Okay, well, at least we got that out of the way. That's how Latvians can speak Russian. So let's get this underway, because we have a lot of questions here for you, Kinta, tonight. Lucas, run the bumper. Let's get into the hot seat. All right, now we've got all the history lesson out of the way. We can get stuck into the Counter-Strike side of things, which is where we all wanted to be anyway. Now we got YEKINDAR with us here, and we've been a massive fan of you in this show before. I don't know if you've seen the clips of us talking very positive things about you middle of last year, I think it was, maybe even a little bit before that. But all in all, for those people who aren't too familiar, I'll give everybody a quick little rundown. This gentleman right here from Latvia, we covered that, basically came, I want to say from nowhere, because that's how quick you went from being a player on Pro 100, or I say that wrong anyway. Fucking hell. I'm going to offend so many people tonight. Straight to VP, and then as soon as Buster came back, you guys became like you trending up to be one of the most dangerous teams we have at the moment. You're 21 years of age, so this has all happened quite quickly. And the picture we have on you on HLTV.org is 2 years old. So that's the synopsis right there. Do you want to help us dive into, though, kind of about this whole Virtus.pro thing? How did it come about? How were you approached? Well, how did it all start, really?
No, this is actually nothing much to say. Like, Zeus told me that Virtus.pro are interested in me, like before even the major got cancelled in like May, or probably somewhere there, like Rio major. And the main plan was after the major to join in, probably. Like that was the plan. But after the major got cancelled, they just played RMR, and I played RMR with Pro 100. But already like mid-April, till this end of May, I was like 99% sure already that I'm going to VP. So like Zeus told me everything, and then it was like 1 month of discussions about like like boring stuff and all that other. Can I swear?
Yeah, go
Yes.
for it, mate.
Oh yeah, all that other shit. So yeah.
Some people don't like the swearing, but that makes me swear more. So like, swear as much as you want. You can say basically whatever you want here. I think Lucas is pretty quick. He can beep it out, right, Lucas?
No, I just
Okay.
leave it in.
All right, never mind. It's live. So anything can go wrong. But okay, so I think that's an important point right there, is that Zeus was obviously the owner of Pro 100, right? Like, so when with this deal going down, and you were saying that they were interested in you and stuff, did they go to the org and say, "Hey, we want YEKINDAR," or did they come to you and say, "Hey, are you interested?" And then you had to go to the org, or was the deal like kind of done and you didn't get too much of a say?
Like, they did how it has to be, like Virtus.pro offered to Zeus, like the org owner, and like Zeus asked me if I want to go, and obviously I wanted to go, and that's how it happened. And then I didn't have anything, like I didn't need to say anything else. Everything else was between like Zeus and VP.
Okay, well, that's definitely not how I remember it being done. I'm sure with some of these teams today, probably still not how it's being done, right? I would say with some of these top teams and players, they're still the ones who are kind of working out their own deals and shit. So at least it's cool to hear it went down that way. Prof, you want to jump in here, and I'll let Striker as well, because I'm sure we all have a lot of questions.
Striker?
This is kind of like a really vague question. I don't know where you want to take it, but I guess when did you realize like you could make it big? I guess recently it's kind of like started going that way, but when did you first realize that was kind of where it was going?
Well, I mean, in Pro 100, I knew that I would in some time probably join a better team. Like I'm quite an ambitious person myself, and I can feel my own ceiling, you know, feel my own like level of play, and I'm always trying to improve. And I know that if you work hard enough, the opportunities will come like in some time, obviously. And like when VP, when I joined VP after I started playing with them, and I just noticed like after like first prac, I already knew like these players are the types of players that we can get to the top easily. And after that, it's just like practice, tournament, practice, and everything else, and it just worked out.
Do you think then that the biggest like potential obstacle for players trying to break out is just getting on a good enough team? Like it doesn't matter how you can be pretty good, but if you just don't have the like maybe the connection, or you don't get spotted by someone, or someone doesn't need the type of player you are, you can just like kind of wander in the top. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like that as well, because like you can waste a lot of time being in the wrong spot, not having the connections with the right people, and as well as getting closed in some works or something, like by contract or something. So lucky for me, it didn't happen for me, so I'm glad for that. But like, yeah, it can waste a lot of time and a lot of your like potential.
Okay. I wanted to reference that article you linked to me earlier, Prof. The one that you released. When was it? Late last year. About
it was
YEKINDAR.
end of to just before like Christmas or New Year or something like that.
So in that right there, that's obviously detailing more of the younger years, right? It's talking about more of like your local team and how you got to this point, at least in the early stages of that article, right? Now, do we want to rehash that stuff, or do we just direct people to the article? What do you reckon, Prof? I want your hard work to be cited here.
No, I mean probably people can go and read it just to get like the full picture. Even though I feel like it's pretty interesting, the whole rise from just going from like a local team and then into EPG where he played with Hooch and all of that, like a bit of FPL and all of that, how that kind of built a lineup. But if you want to ask something, you can obviously.
Yeah, I have one of these things, right? Because we're going to get into talking more about your play style a little bit later on. But in terms of players which influenced you, right? I remember in my early days, and they're super niche names. I'm not going to mention them here. I'll probably mention them on past shows. But there were figures who never went on in Oz Counter-Strike to, necessarily be any huge stars or anything. But they were influential in like my career going up. But what are the biggest names for you, at least to this point, that have kind of influence either the way that you approach the game or helped you get to where you are? Because I think that we often not overlook those things, but we don't tend to dig into those too much on this show when we talk to players about how they've gotten to where they are.
Well, I mean, I can probably do 4 parts, like 4 times of my like career, and there were like different players and people that actually helped me a lot. Like first part is like Highski and the Irix. Irix, you know him from the Twitter. He's always asking the stupid questions. Okay, and like Volsung, like in general, it was the like trampoline for me to go actually to get first contract and everything like that. They were the people I looked up on at the start of my career. Obviously, then EPG, obviously Hooch, father figure, a lot of good stuff. I told it in the article, as you mentioned already. We talked about him. Then in Pro 100, actually, like a lot of players like Ivan, Dev, Kenzor, and Flourish, the people that I played most with there, and like obviously Zeus. So all them, and then World Elite and Waylander, all of them helped me. But like probably Zeus and Flourish were, and Nickelback, three most important peoples in Pro 100, and then obviously VP now.
Okay.
Everyone from VP. So
I might ask you a bit more about Nickelback later in the show when we talk about EXTREMUM, because I think they lost to Nickelback just the other day. So we might talk about him a little bit later in the show. But let's keep it focused around VP, because we want to talk about, obviously, since you joined and then Buster came back, it's just felt like you guys. This is how I look at it, right? Because we got to cover you guys in that RMR event. We got to focus on the growth of VP, and it was kind of. It kind of feels like you guys had the perfect storm, because VP dropped off the radar towards the tail end of 2019, early 2020, right? The results kind of went down. Things weren't going fantastically. They were on the high of the major. They were dropping and spiraling down the rankings. Things weren't going well. It was like, well, does Gen.G go? Does Adren go? What's going to happen? Buster took a break. You came in. And then when Buster came back, you had a chance to already integrate with the core of the team. So you guys didn't have to fuck around with any of that stuff. And then event after event, it felt like, okay, you had to start, you know, with some online-ish events, and then you played in the RMR, and it felt like your opponents slowly got harder and harder as you guys progressed. Did it feel that way for you personally?
Yeah, obviously. For I mean, from the start we played actually instantly as I joined. We played like the Blast Blast Showdown, and there were like really good teams there, and we won only one game in the group, and we played like 4 or 5 games there. And for me, it was already a challenge because like first like really good opponents, then after like RMR playing against NAVI, then again we went down when Buster came back, obviously, and we needed to play those No Sweet Home or whatever tournaments where we 2 times in a row we lost to Gambit. Like we didn't even play that much. We first tournament we instantly lost to Gambit and we went out of the tournament in playoffs. Next tournament we played 1 game and then lost to Gambit again and went out of the tournament, and we didn't understand like how good are we. But after like already RMR, when we beat twice NAVI, then in Flashpoint like Big OG Fnatic, and now in Summit again like Fnatic and NIP and all other teams. It's just but I believe the next step is like top 5 teams, and we want to play against them. We're really hungry.
Now, I guess that kind of brings us to that next subheading we have, right? Is you guys being within the top 6 in the world, and the teams that are ahead of you now. And we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Prof?
Yeah.
I think it was you and I, about like the fact that they had beaten NAVI. Who was it that they just had to beat? Was it Astralis, or was it Vitality in there as well?
Astralis and Vitality didn't play right yet, if I remember correctly. So that's kind of the next step. I feel like NAVI is that local team. So even though they're top 3, it's kind of a different story, I feel like, for Virtus.pro. But these 2 teams, you played big back in Flashpoint. So these 2 teams are next in line, and they are the 2 best teams probably in the world right now. So what is are you hungry to face them? What do you think that is going to be like?
I feel like my teammates have their own history with Astralis, so that will be a challenge for them as well, and obviously a challenge for us to actually like Vitality, NAVI, and Astralis are in a higher level at the moment than any other team, and we've beaten NAVI, but as you said, it's like same like CIS region, and it can all differ and whatever. So we really want to like play against Astralis, mostly Astralis, obviously, because like for us Astralis is like gods of CS, and we want to win them, and Vitality as well. And we just, even if we lose, it's the start of the year. We can focus on like so much stuff to fix on after those games and win them next time. We want to win tournaments. We want to be better. We want to stay the best, and we want to be the champions.
What do you feel like has been like the biggest difference in the past couple of, obviously you've won now 3 tournaments in a row, basically since Flashpoint. So what's been the biggest difference? Because it took you a while, like after Buster was back, to kind of get to this level where you started beating like some of the better teams and, you know, started climbing.
We had a long run with our practices before all those tournaments. So we were like I don't know how to say it, like people who don't go outside, like they stay at home, they just literally sitting at their PCs. Like fully introverts. I wasn't going home for like 2 weeks, like going outside, I mean, and I was staying home watching grenades, learning new stuff and everything, and we were playing so much. And then after when the tournaments already started, the schedule got a bit lighter, and like we had a lot more spare like energy to actually like focus fully on those officials, and everything before we already talked about it, like, and talked everything out basically in the game, that everything was possible. Well, maybe not everything. A new day, new challenge, you know.
Sure, I think that's really interesting. So just if we can, because my calendar is fucking scuffed from last year. Once everything went all COVID-y, I didn't update it. So I don't even know where I was when and when the player breaks and stuff ended. I know it got moved around a bit last year, right? But are you saying that you guys practiced in the player break before Buster came back? Like you were spending a lot of time. Is that what I'm interpreting?
We played with Adrian for 1.5 week or 2 weeks
Okay.
in the player. So it was like 20-ish July,
Yeah.
something like that, till the like I believe like 5th or 3rd August. Then
Yep.
Buster came back instead of Adrian.
Okay.
Then we practiced with Buster from August, September, October, and October it was RMR.
Okay. So that was quite the long lead in. And it sounds like you guys still practicing in the play break where a lot of teams, I guess with COVID, a lot of teams probably weren't taking time off. I'm sure they were probably relaxing and taking a bigger break. But it sounds like if you weren't leaving the house or anything, you guys were grinding really hard. Do you think that is this is such a softball question, right? But in terms of having teammates who are willing to go to the same level you are, is that where the team's at? It sounds like obviously you're really hungry to prove yourself, but the core of this team has already been to a major grand final. Is the hunger there on the same level? Is that how you've been able to get to this stage?
They lost in the major final. How do you think they're
Yeah.
like?
That's a very good
They lost
response.
in a major final. They want to be the winners. They want to go on the next major and win the next major. They don't want to stay the second. They don't want to be like top 30 team in the world. They don't need it. They want to be better.
Yeah, well, I respect the fuck out of that, especially with what Kickit said, right? Like he turned down the whole Navi situation. Like, so okay, so the goals of Virtus.pro are very clear. That is exciting to hear, right? Like you've just spoke with some fucking swagger, right? Like you've gone fuck everything else. We're here to win, and that's really cool. I don't think we hear that enough, really. Prof Strike, you want to jump in anywhere here with their run, their streaks, and all that?
Yeah, just one thing about just in general, like a lot of these people who come in from like the lower tier, before they get all the invites, they don't really play as much, or maybe they still play a lot, we just don't see it. I'm not entirely sure. But still, like it's usually tends to be like a pretty big jump, from when you go from like a team like a Prosto to Virtus.pro, where you just start playing a lot of the tournaments. You just get invited a lot to a lot of stuff. Was that a problem for you at first, like to get adjusted to that new schedule and stuff?
Well, I mean, first we didn't get a lot of invites when I first joined, and now it started better. Obviously, more invites because of our progression in the rankings and wins. So I don't know. It's just I don't care. I'm just playing. I'm literally just tournament from tournament, practice to practice. I don't care.
Is it hard to because I watched a lot of your guys' games, to be honest, and like when you were first being integrated, well, especially when Buster came back, like watching your games and stuff, even if it was the lower tournaments, it always felt like you guys were out just to fucking wreck people, right? Like, and then I've watched some of your games recently in Summit, and just like the poise, you guys are playing every game. It doesn't feel like you're fucking around at any point, is what I'm getting to. So obviously that's the mindset, right? Dustin as the coach, is he? When I remember talking to him back in Berlin at that major, which feels like a fucking lifetime ago now, he seemed like a really level-headed kind of guy. Like as a coach, is he the one who's kind of making sure you boys are still doing this, or is it self-fulfilling? Is everybody able to maintain themselves in this situation?
I'd say Dastan is actually focusing on that, but like we all understand that it doesn't matter. We're playing. I'm not gonna tell any team names. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're playing top 10 team in the world or we're playing top 50 team in the world. We just want to win and not fuck around.
Okay.
So that's the main thing, I think.
All right. Well, I guess let's move into the next bit, which is to do with your play style, right? Because I think a lot of people, if they watch you play, they realize in a lot of situations you're really aggressive and almost self-sufficient in the way that you do your aggression. Like they might set you up early with a couple of like nades to get you control of, say, like mid on Mirage or some shit, but it just feels like they go, hey, YEKINDAR, you're the newest kid to this team. We're going to give you the whole part of middle to yourself. Go nuts. And you just fucking roll up connector and kill 3 people.
Don't tell everyone our strat.
Oh, okay. Shit. Yeah. Well, look, if the strat is based around YEKINDAR, go take space and kill, right? I'm fucking super impressed. But like your play style, if we're going to narrow in on it, like within this team, it's not like they were lacking entry fraggers before, right? When we've spoken to Kicker in interviews, he's mentioned like him and Buster love to take space and go for kills as well. Obviously, James is an AWPer, so part of his job is to find openings. And now they've thrown you in the mix, which is like even more aggression. And it seems to be working. And then you guys get opening kills and you just pause. Like, so let's talk about your play style specifically. Have you always been like an aggressive player wanting to take space on the T sides like this?
I actually spoke about this to Prof as well in the article. So basically, when I first got in EPG, Hooch just set me up to the roles where I just need to run and kill. Basically, just go out and that playstyle just went on to other teams, and now it's in VP. And when I first joined, I gave my like 5 cents, and I showed them like what can I do, what are my moves I would love to do, Then Jamie integrated them into our own like play style, and now our like roles all together are more filling up, because before like Buster and Kicker, like I feel like mine like entry fragger and like things that I do are a bit different than like normal entry fraggers, and I feel like Buster and Kicker are really good on re-aggressing after my aggression, and that's how like in Tetris it just goes up and up and up and up and up and until we win, and I feel like it's working really good at the moment.
That's interesting. So you consider yourself that your role is more aggressive? Is that like you take more individual risks? Like you're making space for the next pack of entry fraggers? Is that kind of how you're describing it?
I'm considering myself more stupid than Buster and Kicker, so they're just bailing me out all the time, and I'm just doing my own stuff. So I don't know, just basically that. I think.
Okay.
So,
right.
like considering like your play style, is there any player that you kind of look towards his demos when you want to get some ideas, or some not like that you have to do it all the time, but sometimes you watch someone and say like, oh, this is something that I could use. Does someone pop to mind?
Raygon.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just I played a lot of FPL and I saw so much like individual plays, and then I just thought what grenades I would need more for it to be like even more efficient, and then I just offer them to my team, and then I just play out those plays. I mostly see all those plays in FPL. Usually when I'm watching like players that are my position, they are not playing like I'm playing sometimes like they do, because you can't be over aggressive all the time, and
Sure.
I have my own like understanding of situation where I can use something of mine stuff that I stole from FPL players, and where I can just play like Electronic or I don't know any other player.
I love that.
Yeah, Rigo, who played for Contact, like the Swiss Albanian player, that but like polished. That is what YEKINDAR is. Okay.
I feel like I can give an example of this. I think it was Dust 2 the other day. I was watching you guys versus Mouse Sports, and you guys were doing like an anti-eco. Maybe it was I don't remember which half it was. You were on the T side though, and you were the one who was tasked with watching mid doors, and they force sport. And I think like Carrigan tries picking you with a scout or some shit, and then you flatten him. And then you don't, your team does not move for like 30 seconds. I'm just sitting here watching you guys not move for 30. Like I saw it was literally 30 seconds. Maybe it was more. And then like another guy comes to try and get the scout and you just wreck him. And then A-Core comes like as the last guy. And I'm like, I just talk about this kid as being aggressive. And you guys have just sat and paused after taking all this space early and done nothing for fucking 30 to 45 seconds. So you're basically doing, I don't want to, when I say this, people are going to take it the wrong way. Like I'm being a dick about it. But the thing that you're referencing with FPL is like calculated risks that people take that are that go against the grain, but are the gaps in the way that we approach Counter-Strike, right? Like that's kind of the way that you're talking about. These risks that you take is to find a timing on a smoke, or to catch them when they're having to cover another
checkpoint, space or something.
Yeah, and then you're just freezing and letting them make the mistake, right? So you're using the big brain Astralis Counter-Strike with the dumb cunt FPL plays, and you're mixing the two together, and it seems to be amazing.
Virtus.pro.
Well, I guess what we can do, because the playstyle of your team overall is a little bit off meta in a way, right? Like especially before you joined, like there was a lot of stuff that I watched that they were doing that a lot of teams weren't doing. Like default rounds on Dust 2, for example, instead of having James AWP mid, he go lower dark with the AWP to get the pick on the cat guy, right? Not many teams do that with the AWP is traditionally going to watch mid to set up the default. Do you still consider Virtus.pro to be playing like off meta CS? Do you think you do stuff as a team a lot different to everybody else, or do you think you're closer aligned now with how most teams are approaching CS?
I feel like we have different stuff. We have meta CS that we're using, and we have as well our off meta CS that is surprising enemies. And I believe the main part is that James is a really cool-headed guy, and I'm like a stubborn player. And me and James somehow combine, and like the thing you were saying about like waiting 30 seconds into the round, James calling, wait. And I'm like, come on. Basically.
Okay, so you want to get let off the leash. You want to get out. Okay, well, that is the mix seems to be working, right? Because from strength to strength at the moment with VP.
To be honest, like that, like waiting 30 seconds, like getting a pick on Dust 2, getting into pit, and then just waiting 50 seconds, 60 seconds. That reminds me of like the Dream Eaters style of like before the Starladder Major, when I was watching some like lower tier CS. Most of them were like CIS teams. I don't remember who else was in that group, but those teams would literally just get 1 kill or maybe 2, 5v3, T-side Dust 2, just chilling, not doing anything, not even getting map control, just sitting in pit, like 1 guy with an op, 2 guys with rifles, 1 guy watching behind, and just killing you with time. It's simply, I feel like that is a similar style to what VP is doing now. And I guess with how everyone's playing now online, which is like re-peeking, re-aggressing, finding space all the time, it just kind of works in some situations.
Yeah. I wonder. Well, I want to try and pivot this. Well, do we want to talk more about the playstyle? Let's keep it moving. Fuck it. We're already 30 minutes into the show somehow. This time is flying by. Let's have a look here, because we spoke. Was it last week's show? I think it was that we spoke about it potentially being the year of CIS Counter-Strike, right? Because Spirit, since their edition of Degster, they went on to win that DreamHack event. Obviously, NAVI, forZe. I have no fucking idea what's going on with forZe at the moment. So maybe like they're a bit of a mess, but I'm sure they can come out on top of it. Jerry seems to be like a pretty level-headed kind of guy and a decent in-game leader. So if we have a look at those teams, including yourself here as VP, in the past it used to be NAVI, and then like I don't know, we had Hellraisers, as they were always like a international mix, so maybe we don't include them. We always had like a Vega Squadron or like a Windstrike or like another name like that would pop up and they would get an upset, but it wasn't anything to believe in. Now it feels like the talent has finally been put in the right places, and there's decent leaders and decent coaching. What do you think about the whole region?
I feel like like last year, CIS region like improved hell, like really much. And like Gambit went from a team that was farming those like No Sweet Homes and every other tournament to actually top 15. Spirit, who were on a high level already, made some changes, and now with Dexter they look like a really good firepower. And us ourselves like getting into like top 6 and winning like these tournaments, I feel like we can have at the end of this year like 4 CIS teams in top 10.
Okay.
For sure.
So just for people at home who are watching, just to see where everybody's at right now, VP, so Navi are the highest rated at 3rd, VP coming at 6th. If we go down, Spirit are in at 14. Gambit, which is the one I left off my list, which I shouldn't have, is in at 16. And then who else was there? forZe are in at 23. So you already have those names all within the top 25 as it is. So it's not the most impossible of journeys to see, but having like all of them in the top 10 would be something. What do you reckon the likelihood of that is, Striker, if you were going to sit here and hazard a guess right now? Not to get all of them, but maybe three out of the 5 names.
Oh, which 3 are going to make the top 10, or what's the
well,
question?
I think we'd all assume that, like, do you think that it's possible 3 could make it? Because I think we'd all say Navi, VP, Spirit probably, but Gambit are the ones who are the ones actually grinding, so who could make it above Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the next level for like changes would be like some sort of a combination between Gambit and forZe.
Okay.
Just because there's just a lot of talent in both teams that if they came together, that would be like the next challenger, I feel like. But yeah, I'd probably agree with what you said with with Spirit now being the third one. I think Dexter is going to make that team. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's already has made that team a lot better. So that's definitely like the next one.
Okay, so Prof, when we were talking about this, right? How serious are we in thinking this? Because I saw Peter make a tweet as well about up and coming talent in that region. Are we missing anybody off our list, Prof? Here from what we've spoken about?
I mean, I just went to look back in the rankings. Like I was trying to think, when did we even have two CIS teams in the top 10? And from my just like cursory glance, I think it only happened with Avantgarde and NAVI after Avantgarde was in the grand final of the Starlander Major, when they're just like some random ranking I have now. Avantgarde are 4th, NAVI are 10th. So I think that's the only time, or maybe some like small periods where you had something like that going on. So yeah, when you look at all of the teams that are outside of the top and that are in the top 20 from CIS, I think we never had such a strong field from CIS. And just to answer your question, yeah, who else do we still have Windstrike also, who are kind of a decent team.
Alien and stuff, right?
Yeah, even I think some other teams that are outside of the top 30 that are currently there, probably mostly because they played all of these like during break tournaments, so that they're kind of higher now than they objectively probably are in the ranking.
Yeah,
but there's still talent in those teams. As we saw, like forZe, I think they played with like 5 or 6 different players coming in for Exit Power and Facecrack. So there is talent, obviously. And you look at like NAVI Junior still existing, and some of these teams that are obvious farm teams for the teams that we're talking about, the Spirits and these guys. I think it should be the best ever year for CIS. Like if not now, like when? With all of this talent, right?
Well, 2019 we had probably, you could argue, the best year for NACS. So this, it would make sense that we're getting to the CIS threshold as well, with just because we spoke about the talent in CIS before, and now it's kind of all coming together. So let's do this. YEKINDAR, first of all, 2021 for Virtus.pro, is the plan to just play? Because before you said you don't give a fuck what you're playing, you don't care who you play, you just want to beat everybody, right? But is the plan to play in just because you guys you won Flashpoint Season 2 last year? You've obviously on a streak of tournaments at this point as well. You guys are playing the play-ins for Katowice in 9 days' time, I believe it is, something like that. So for you guys, like now that you've found yourself back in the top 10, all that hard work has paid off. Is the plan still just to play everything that opens and shuts, or is it now to be more selective about your tournaments now that you get those offers?
I mean, obviously we have priorities in our tournaments, so we don't want to be having crossover events. Obviously, like 2 events in same days, like we had in IM New York and Flashpoint qualifiers.
Yep.
And like obviously we want them both, but like it's not that easy. You're wasting a lot of energy that you can be using in like long distance further, and obviously we're just prioritizing tournaments with like thinking which tournament is more prestige, and obviously which tournament has more money in it. Probably the main 2 points. But our focus still is any other tournament doesn't matter. I think major is the most important one.
Okay, cool. So just hopefully we get that this year for you boys. And then like we're going to probably dive into this a bit later once we get to playtime, and everybody can be excited. I actually did up the calendar. Whether or not we can show it, well, that's another thing. But when we're talking about that, and we're talking about, because you're still on the cusp, right? You worked really hard as a youngster. You worked throughout the ranks. You showed a good work ethic. You had all these mentors and stuff along the way. And then you got put on a good team, or you didn't just get put on a good team. You were selected to be on a good team because of how good you are. So you're still in the early stages of like now playing within Tier 1 Counter-Strike, right? Like this is your still technically in your first year, right? When you look at the other people who, as you were coming up from either Latvia or the CIS region, or even players that you're playing within FPL, are there any names that you're surprised haven't been picked up yet? Or are there any names that you think are soon to get picked up and put on one of these international squads? I know it's not as easy for everybody because nationalities and some people in like, you know, different areas, the ping's not great. But is there anybody that you're surprised isn't on a big name team yet?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, like Spinks and Flames,
Okay.
2 Israeli players from FPL. I played with them a lot, and like they're like Flames is now getting a lot more recognition because he got picked by like a lot of players from top 20, obviously. And Binks, I played like I think we qualified almost at the same time for FPL, and he improved a lot, and he's really good at the moment. So I believe these two players, and maybe I can put in interesting like CIS guy who would probably like Aunker. Maybe I think Aunker is a really good player as well himself, and but I heard rumors that forZe wanted him, but couldn't get him.
Didn't work.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I mean, but like those three players, they're young, they're talented, and they're crisp.
All
I
right.
like them.
They're
He did
crisp.
stand in for forwards for a while, like at the end of last year, or like earlier this year, actually, even.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, I think it was a test for forZe, but and forZe wanted to buy him out, but it just didn't work out.
he's on that Navi contract, right?
Similar to you with forZe, right? You also played like a trial for them, but things didn't work out even before pro stuff. So a lot of
Yeah.
people don't remember that. But I never even saw it until we were doing the interview, and I was like going through the matches. And I'm like, playing for forZe? What the fuck is this? But yeah, didn't happen. forZe obviously also didn't sell a couple of their players, which were sought by Navi. That was the Flit $1.5 million story. How much truth there is to that, but kind of an insane buyout, definitely for Flit.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. But let's keep the show moving because we're already 40 minutes in. Lucas, we're going to go to the recent news. Let's take us there. All right, welcome back. We're going to talk more with YEKINDAR about CIS stuff probably when we get to playtime. But for now, we're going to turn our attention to the recent news. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you missed the sad news in recent times, North, they are no longer operational as an organization in any video game, not just Counter-Strike. I remember we had Graham when he was talking about Apex. I don't know if he mentioned FIFA as well, but I remember there were other games involved.
Yeah,
in the North
definitely had a
project.
FIFA as well.
And just a quick rundown of North for those people playing at home. They were org for about 4 or 5 years. I don't know the exacts, probably about 4 or 5 years.
I think
January.
2017, early
Yeah, January.
2017.
Okay.
2000.
So it was Copenhagen FC, the football club, which was behind North. I guess they were trying to see if they could do something as well with Astralis. Obviously, a lot of attention around them, Danish Counter-Strike, etc. Biggest football club. Kind of makes sense. You know, we've seen a lot of these crossovers. Unfortunately, it's not to be. So I guess that the shareholders over there are playing with a finite mindset as opposed to an infinite mindset. If you want to read there's a lovely book by Simon Sinek. Did I say his name right? Anyway, I'm not going to go off on a tangent. It's like I haven't even finished the book of. Anyway, we don't have North anymore. Striker, are you sad?
I think it was a long time coming.
Okay, so you're not sad.
So not really.
The writing was on the wall.
Pretty much.
I think it's unfortunate considering like now with Messi also coming in and the changes that they made to the org.
Yeah.
Obviously the changes like MSL, AZ, KRB before leaving the team were to kind of cut the costs and be like a more reasonable organization because their plans to like compete with Astralis to be the Danish #1 failed. So they're like, okay, let's kind of do a different spin. And like halfway through this, not halfway, I feel like they kind of reached almost the final stages of this, like not rebrand, but like changing up the structure of the org. And just like the plug was pulled. So maybe that the team would never be good, but it's just a lot of wasted effort. So I feel bad for the people that were doing that. It doesn't matter like whoever you are, whatever the team was, all of the history, all of the fails and everything, and everyone making fun of them. It's still like people, most of them that kind of know what they're doing and put their like heart and soul into something, to not see any like anything come back from that, never never to know if that was gonna pay out or not, right?
And if we're gonna be fair, right, then the players which North had in the early days were the next, like if you had Astralis, well, these are the guys you were picking. Like if we're gonna be honest about the names who went through the door at North at the time to try and rival them, they were the best names at the time you could have been picking. Now, could they have planned for the future from the beginning? Yeah, but hindsight's fucking 2020, right? And I think here the move that we heard from Graham and stuff, it made more sense. We know that there's a lot of talent in Denmark. We know that you could potentially farm that and turn something into the future. There was all those opportunities there, but unfortunately, I was talking to Henry about this one. Now, this is where I get my old man, I get my walking cane out, and I fucking, bent over and my gray hair and shit, because I'm fucking old, all right? But back when Henry and I were in the CGS, the Championship Gaming Series, for those of you playing at home, 2008, we woke up one day and we literally found out when we woke up that we were no longer employed by the CGS, that it wasn't a company anymore and it wasn't going to run, by either an email or going to the website, and the website was down with a fucking disclaimer across the front saying we'd ceased operations. That was the first we'd heard about it, right? And we were talking about this and we were seeing the tweets come out from Cajun and the way that Messioso was reacting, and we're talking about it as it was going down. And it just reminded us of that. So this, to me, Striker, when I saw it, felt like it was just the shareholders or whoever the fuck the bosses are just decided they're like, yeah, we're fucking done with this. It felt like it came out of nowhere, right? With what Prof was talking about.
A little bit, but I'm not. I
know we're not surprised, but we heard a whole new angle, right? Like Graham, like the way you saw Messioso's tweets, right? Like he now has to look for a job. The man, right, has moved to Denmark. Obviously, this is on his own volition. He worked for ESL, he worked for Blast, he moved to Denmark. He's had a bloody kid. He was working for North. Like he just had, was the highest position he held in any org. And even it seemed like he was blindsided, right? So do you think this snap decision is something which comes because of COVID, or do you think that, because I know what you're saying, like, oh yeah, they haven't been showing results, they probably haven't been making much profit, they don't have good shit to show their shareholders. But even still, like, it feels like it's how I deal with a PC problem. Instead of actually trying to troubleshoot it, I'll punch the thing and unplug the power.
I definitely see where you're coming from, and especially because of how recent the change of direction was. Because this is like, when did North make those latest changes? This is like 2 months ago, isn't it?
Not long ago.
Not even that, maybe.
Like 1 month, I think. No?
Grox joined 19th of January. So that's
there
like
you go. Okay, so even 1 month. I wasn't sure if it was just before the break or just after. So just after. And like within 3 weeks after making like pretty drastic changes to the team, or like to the direction of the team, you just completely pulled the plug. So that's the weird part for me, that you just still kind of like let those people like believe that there's some sort of a plan, and then just like pull the plug all of a sudden. So that's the weird part for me. So maybe like it could be like a situation where like a sponsor pulled out entirely, like the Nordisk film, like the one of the main people behind, like in conjunction with FC Copenhagen. So I guess like it came down to that one of the sponsors just decided, fuck it, this is just not worth it anymore, and just pulled out. And that's why the organization reacted this way. Because otherwise, I just don't see why they would make those changes earlier in the year. They would just like pull the plug at that time. So that's probably what happened.
Well, this is where I want to bring you in, YEKINDAR, because the players who were left, right, when all of this kind of fell apart, we've obviously got Gen.G. We know that MSL and AZ were on the bench. We know Lekro was still there. I'm just trying to make sure I have the full fucking roster here. We had Grux or Grux, I don't know how you want to pronounce it. We had them sign. We had Christu in there, who was someone who they were using earlier in the year. Gade as well, and Jumpy as the coach. Now, when you're looking at this, YEKINDAR, are there obviously each of these players have their own skill sets, but is there anybody that immediately sticks out to you as like, yeah, that guy needs a home, like right now? Are any of these names here you think in with a chance to find a team quickly?
Well, for me, like Lekro, because in FPL I was playing a lot with him, and I don't know any of those other guys like Christo, Gade, and sometimes I played with Gen.G in FPL as well, but a lot less than with Lekro. Lekro for me is like a good player, like legit a really good player, and his personality is like really suitable for like winning, like the winner's mentality, and never raging, never just a really good teammate that I would love to have, in the future. So for me, like Lekro is like obviously a good pickup for any team at the moment.
Okay, because later in the show, if we get time and play time, DK actually released like a free agents list the other day. Some of them were free agents, some of them were still like under contract or probably part of a team. But I wouldn't mind adding these new names we have to it when we get later, and we'll actually run through and see if we can make a sick team or decide where any of these players can go. So I don't want to dwell on this North thing too long. Does anybody have anything that they want to chime in with it here before we move on from North?
We're going to Mad Lions next, right?
Next is automatic. Mad Lions is coming up shortly.
Okay, but just when we're here, like when we're mentioning Lekro, like he is a guy that was in talks to join Mad Lions. I mean, Mad Lions are also not in a great spot like the last 6 months or whatever, but at least for now they have a team, and he could have joined that team and could have been like on a decent team there, like have some stability, someone that believed in the North project more. Completely reasonable. Like I don't know what is talked, what is offered from what side or another, but he ended up joining North, and now he's kind of stuck here in no man's land. Like 5 days after the new season started, when most of the rosters are set, and people like the top teams don't want to change now. Then maybe he'll find a place on a lower team, or he has to wait until the next player break or something weird happening to find an opportunity, and that just sucks.
Yeah, it's just a hard spot at the moment for him, for every player from the North.
So I think this is one of those situations where there's no right answer, right? Like if he hangs around and he waits, well then he's probably just gonna be playing FPL every day. If he jumps on a lower team, maybe he gets signed to a contract that's gonna make it hard to get him onto that better team in the future, right? So it's a rough spot to be at the start of a year, especially with the uncertainty. And we'll just pivot from here straight into Mad Lions. We can jump around here. There's not too many dramas. We may as well. So if we take a look, Peacemaker, it felt like he was at Mad Lions for a while, right, Striker? But another one of these situations where they've let him go.
Yeah, I mean, he was there for like over a year, actually, like just since they basically left Tricked. Then he came in instead of Winspy. I think he was the coach before in Tricked. So he basically became a coach of that team at that time, which is over a year ago. This is end of 2019 that this happened. So I feel like it's just a result of like the failure of management in Mad Lions, because we saw what happened with like Innocent. He literally was in that team for like 3 weeks before he got kicked, and essentially, and that was just a move that everybody saw ahead of time that it was not going to work out. We just didn't see like why they're going this route when there's so many, so much talent to pick from in Denmark, especially if you have like a decent organization behind you that actually can buy out some of these players from like the lower tier teams. So I think from like a management perspective, there's definitely a reason to put some of the blame on Peacemaker as probably like one of the higher up people who had a lot of say in some of these decisions, and potentially like having a say in Bubsky leaving for Astralis and stuff like that. And so I guess this was like the next logical step if you didn't want to make more roster changes, that you've already basically like changed up 3 of the 5 players, and one of them, I guess, Acor actually just wanted to leave, I suppose. But still, it's just I feel like it's kind of a logical decision to just look for a coaching change in this position.
But here are the things, right? Players would only want to leave if they have a better option, or if they don't see anything good of where they're at, right? So I think Bubsky going to the Astralis project, that's obviously enticing because it's Astralis. Acor wanting to go to Mouse Sports to be the primary AWP, that's also pretty enticing considering where Mouse Sports are at. So like those are like understandable, but at the same time, there must have been things that made them not want to hang around and believe in the project they had, because they had a pretty good project,
like,
right? They're on the rise.
With Bubsky, there was actually like a lot of rumors that it was kind of like mutual, that they kind of wanted to kick him, and he just like decided, okay, I'm just gonna leave for Astralis because I have this offer. So I feel like that was kind of like there was some tension there already before that, I feel like.
So let's break this down. We're going to do this in 2 parts. One part, we're going to do the coaching part. Prof, I'm going to throw that your direction. And the next we'll do the player part, and I'll throw that your direction, YEKINDAR, when we get there. So, Prof, for the coach for this team right now, you're looking at all the coaches out there. You can even go with ones that you think are on teams who would be willing to make moves. Who do you think would be a good fit for this team? Or is this another situation where they might have to find somebody in their own, like a Mytha, right? Like for a lot of people, they didn't really know who Mytha was until he came up and started coaching like North and this, that, the other. Do you think it's going to be one of those? Or do you think they'll go for somebody established over there at Mad Lions? Because some of these coaches right now who are established are the ones who are under ESIC bans.
Let me just check one thing.
Okay.
Are you checking Reddit or something?
Yeah. I mean,
Reggie makes sense, right? How long's he banned for? Forever?
For like two more years or something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Literally, Regin's Twitter account, official Twitter of Alan Regin Peterson, senior manager at Madland CS AN.
When did that happen?
We don't know.
Just there with no announcement or anything, so I have no idea if this is a troll or not. But most likely.
Nice catch, bro. Nice catch.
Someone in our Discord posted it. One of the guys from the. I need the credit now. I'll try to find it. Mado, Mado. One of the Dust2DK guys. Actually, I think a decent player, like 3KL or something. Just because he's from Denmark, he's probably like he's 3KL. But he's not good enough to actually play the game, so he's like writing articles and stuff like that. It's that just says like the Danish standards of players right there. But yeah, it seems like something's going on in that direction. What does that mean, senior manager
he
or
can't
whatever?
Coach.
He can't coach,
but he can still advise.
But he can fire peacemaker.
I mean, he can definitely like do a lot of these things that a lot of the time the coach does. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like has, whether it's like scheduling and stuff like that, and or just even like scheduling practice sessions or just forming like the way that they practice and stuff like that. This is a lot of the stuff that Regin, I'm sure, can help with because of his experience from mouse sports and just generally being in the top scene. So I feel like having him in a managerial role actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know who they could get as an actual coach though.
Okay, well, according to Prof here, he's just linked a tweet that maybe Lucas can bring up from Danish CSGO Leaks, which I'm sure is probably run by Lucas, which is called Mad Lions plus Haste CSGO Coach. Haste in-game leader teaching at... Lucas, how do I say that? Teaching on... What is that? Heffer? That's a fucking F! Okay.
Oh, he's teaching on Fjerdslev and Rødhave. It's two schools in Denmark.
Okay.
One time we were at the ESL Pro League in Denmark, and we were actually staying at Martin's place because it's like
I don't know what you're talking about.
10 kilometers or something. It's like a suburbs of Odense where the tournament was. And as I needed to leave like first in the morning, like super like 5 a.m. or something. And everyone was sleeping. I needed to order a taxi. I think Uber wasn't available in Denmark at the time. So I needed to call and tell the taxi service where to pick me up. And the name of the street is like Hude or something. And I was like, Hude 75. Can you? He was like, where? I can't find that. I was like,
oh no.
2 minutes, and then the girl was like, and I'm like, yeah, that, and then I got the text.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's you got a tough language over there, Lucas. All right. So apparently that's who the coach is going to be. I did a little bit of a disservice there by getting stuck on the early parts, but it also says that he used to be an analyst for Astralis/North. He ex-SK/Heroic coach. So I apologize for not being up to date on my Danish coaches. Sorry, Haste or Haste, as Lucas just said. Anyway, let's continue forward. Luke, YEKINDAR, I want to ask you about this team now, right? Because the roster that has been left at Mad Lions is Shush, Roy, Hooksy is the in-game leader, Refresh, and TMB. Now, first question, do you think this team has something to build on?
Who the fuck is open?
Apparently TMB. That's what we've been led to believe.
Yeah, even though he's not like a primary upper.
I'm pretty sure I played against him in Bosnian tournament, like the Kubanji Luka.
Yeah.
He wasn't an upper.
He wasn't top 8, no.
For sure he wasn't an upper, and now he's an upper. Like,
yeah,
it's a hard. He has a hard like.
He looks like a secondary from like previous teams.
Yeah, but like the secondary uppers, you can't just go from like a secondary upper to a main upper. It's just something different. You need to watch so much demos. You need to learn so much new stuff and like stuff you didn't even understand before. And like even the smallest details can set up for your team for win, because like upper is an insane role. It's like a high percentage of the win condition for any team. If the upper is really good, it's like a lot more easier to play for the riflers. And overall, the team is just better with a better upper, and that's why.
I think it's funny that you, as a non-opper, actually realize this situation or this mistake that a lot of the secondary oppers make. It's kind of like the same thing as with like secondary callers, thinking I can do this, I can be the main caller. I can always call the right stuff. I always have like the right ideas, and then they do it consistently and they realize, okay, I actually I can't really do it like from round to round. I still need to have like a good
I can
idea
actually tell you why though, because like when I was playing with Ivan, Def, Kenzor, and the Flourish in Pro 100, Ivan was playing B with Kenzor and he was the main opper, and I had to op on A. And when I started opping on A, I was like in practice, I was like destroying. Then I go to official, James kills me every time. every time, legit. We played Avantgarde 20 times, like, I know, like 7 Infernos. He was destroying me all those Infernos. And that's why I just know that it's so hard to actually play against a really good opper and know what to do, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I remember. When you have the secondary AWPers, because we had Havoc and Yam. I'm going back ancient history now, but neither of them like wanted to primary. They were always changing their mind, right? And when they were secondary AWPing, there wasn't as much pressure because I didn't need them to get the kills. They just got to do it when they were fucking feeling it, right? So then, of course, they were going to hit the shots. But when I needed them to do it like and replicate it, it's hard to show up in that role. So you're first of all citing here that with this roster, Mad Lions don't, by not having a primary AWPer, are already off to a fucked up start, right? But is there any potential for the other names here? Like, do you think that there's enough firepower to maybe make up for that in the beginning?
I feel like it's gonna be a fine team for top 25, but
Okay.
I'm not seeing them higher because of actually lacking an AWPer, and then actually, like, for me, like, Bobsky was one of the main players in that team when they won Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And after he left, and now Aker, who was the second guy, like after Bobsky, when Bobsky already left, Aker was for me, like after Roy and Aker, both two players, they were for me like the core of the team, and now Aker left, and now it's really hard to tell, you know. It all depends on themselves. Can they actually work it out, or
Three different
cannot,
leaders.
you know?
They've had 3 different leaders in this small amount of time, right? Hunda, Nastilian, and now Hooksy's there. So like it's a whole different team. I'm looking at HLTV. Their last recorded result was at Flashpoint Season 2, where they came 5th, 6th, losing to MIBR. So
we almost lost them, by the way.
Oh yeah,
so we
2-1.
could,
Here we go.
We could have lost. We were losing 15-13 on train, if I'm not mistaken.
Talking so much shit, barely beat them.
Yeah, you guys went overtime on train, the third map. So it was 10-5, 10-5 on each other.
It was 15-13. We were 3 versus 5, and we won the round. And
Oh,
then we won the game.
Yeah.
And
All
then
right.
Aker left.
So yeah, who would you say is going to be the star of that team? Because for me, I'm looking at those names, and it kind of feels like it has to be Refresh, right?
I don't know. For me, like in even in the tournament I mentioned earlier, like Luka, where I played against TMB. TMB was really good. Like he's really crisp, and I feel like Roy is just a really good player as well. But but I feel like he doesn't have those correct spots, like to actually be like the player who stands out.
Sure, he's playing the bitch roles like poor Sanji. I can't wait to ask you about Sanji later.
Not fully bitch roles, but yeah, I feel like Team B and probably Refresh as well. But Refresh, I don't know. Refresh was calling sometime. No, I think he's an in-game leader himself as well, but I'm not really sure. So I'm not
I don't think so. I think that is not correct.
He's been around the shop, right? Obviously, when he did that Cloud9 stint, he got fucked around. We spoke to him a little bit, and now he's back with these boys. And it's kind of like every time he seems to make one of these moves, it seems to unfortunately fall apart for him. So I guess we know Danish talent is stacked, right? If Regin's there and he's able to help curate, you know, and work out where the holes and gaps are, maybe they can try doing a 6, 7, 12 man roster. Who the fuck knows? All right, let's keep this one moving. autimatic to Valorant and Gen.G are gone, are donezoed. We're kind of not surprised by this, are we, Striker?
Nope, not really, I guess. It was just like the next...
Right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like they maybe pulled the plug on that project a little bit too early, just because it feels like this was in the works for like maybe like a month or something before it actually got pulled. So I guess maybe that speaks to just how many orgs they talked to and just got denied. So maybe they just really didn't see any other option than to just like either join another team or just go to Valorant, right? And for autimatic, that just kind of makes sense just because of in what state NA is at this point, and especially if he doesn't want to leave the region. I guess he wanted to, if he wanted to come up, join up with Flusha and Sunny, but I guess he didn't have any other offers to go to a good European team, you know, one that actually has a chance to go to the top. And so I would imagine that he just felt like it was his only option to switch.
Sure. Prof, I want to throw this more about an organizational thing. Gen.G without a team, Contact without a team. I'm sure there's other FPX just got a team. Envy without a team. What the fuck's going on with all these Flashpoint partner teams? Like, what do we do here? Do we think this is going to have impacts on the league?
From what Gen.G said, Gen.G didn't say anything. They literally put autimatic in front of a camera to say that Gen.G are most likely not gonna have a CSGO team anymore. So this is like done, I guess. But no one from Gen.G said it. It's just autimatic. Players from Team 1 Valorant, not even Gen.G Valorant, not even the same org. So yeah, it seems like that is completely dead. So I don't know what they're doing with their slot. I don't know if they paid the full price buy-in for Flashpoint and now just like forfeiting the whole buy-in, which would be crazy to me, especially because it didn't really seem like they actually tried to put together a CSGO roster after Sam and Daps left. That never actually seemed that they put in an effort to pick up, because there were rumors about Liaz and Gratisfaction, I think. Didn't happen.
Liaz for sure.
I think it was Liaz and Azza.
Yeah,
Azza
maybe
was going to in-game
lead. Yeah. That was it. And then there were a bit of talks with the Chaos duo. I think Vanity and someone else, I forgot which one of their players. And like 2 days later, people found out that Gen.G were like closing the team, so Vanity then left also to Valorant.
Yeah,
it's like, why? So I don't know why. That doesn't make sense to me. If they went into this Flashpoint project, like, okay, we'll put in the buy-in.
It's a lot of money. We're not talking about like fucking little bits of money here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess they just decided to pull the plug because NACS is dead and they want to stay in NA and not like move to Europe or whatever. But it's kind of a waste, considering they were in a fairly decent position with the 3 players that they had, which are autimatic, Bentet, and Kusta. I think that's a pretty decent core, like star player, opper, or maybe also a star player if he doesn't want to op. Kusta's a pretty versatile player, so you can. I think it's pretty easy to find 2 players to fit into that and have decent potential, but they didn't really try. So
yeah,
as I put it on Twitter, like, thanks for nothing. Literally one of the most forgettable appearances of an organization in Counter-Strike ever. Like,
yeah,
no
I feel
one can remember you.
I feel like you're a little bit harsh there, just because if this was a normal LAN period, like they actually won a LAN, at the start of and they won Road to Rio, right? They won Road to Rio as well, which, if it was a LAN, that now they have like 2 LAN wins under their belt, which is like a fucking reasonable, impact that they've had on the scene, even though it was like but I guess it was relatively like local tournaments, but still, like, they were definitely relevant in NA. It's just like the online period kind of made everything mesh together, and they just really deteriorated as the online period progressed and just lost the team basically like within 6 months of existence, right? But those first like few months were actually really relevant for them. It's just how it got fucked by either like players moving to Valorant, or just in general the situation with COVID and stuff like that made it look a lot worse than it actually was for Gen.G.
Sure. I just feel it's weird for an org to commit lots of money, and Flashpoint obviously not going to give that money back. Like, you committed, you can't have a team.
I don't know about that. I guess there could be like clauses, for that.
I don't know the deal.
Maybe they can sell the slot, but who's going to buy it right now? That's my problem.
But Flashpoint's a league, right, which added a lot of excitement because these were teams and players. It wasn't the same shit that we see with with Blast and with ESL events. The same teams fucking back to back, and we get fed up with it. It actually offered interesting storylines, and people could get. Sure, it's not going to bring all of the massive, NAVI fans or this or that, but it offered something different, right? And I think that's what I thought was cool. And as we're going to talk about later in the show, if we have time, is all these free agents. If one of these orgs, if Gen.G or if 100 Thieves stuck around, or if these teams stuck around, they probably could have had a pretty sick roster. Now, I don't want to dwell on this too long. We got lots more shit to get through.
I just wanted to say one more thing, which is just that it's weird to me that this is kind of a theme with the Flashpoint organizations, even those that were actually in the game like an NV, for quite a long time, that they just like, even while they made this investment into Flashpoint, they're just willing to say, okay, maybe if the right opportunity, like with Envy, maybe if the right opportunity arises, we'll come back into CSGO, but not just with any team,
Sure.
But then you still have like a decent core in the Flash Automatic Sunny. That's definitely like some potential there, even if it's like 3 changes down the line that team becomes good. It's still something to build around. And so I'm just having a hard time imagining that there's no like exit clause in terms of Flashpoint, just because there's too many organizations just decided to probably go fuck it with Contact, NV, and Gen.G as well.
Sure.
So it's just weird to me.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, and keep our finger on the pulse of the players moving to Valorant. And best of luck to autimatic. It's a shame to have to lose him to this, but hopefully he can achieve some greatness in Valorant as well. We'll always remember the Cloud9 major win there. I want to keep this one moving though. We're going to throw this one to you, YEKINDAR. poizon, returning to complexity. You can speak firsthand to what it's like to play in a team who doesn't have their desired starting 5. Do you think this immediate return of YEKINDAR is going to do wonders for complexity, or do you reckon there's a bigger problem going on over there?
I feel like that obviously, like when poizon left for his like surgery or whatever, what he had the problem, and they took I believe it was Otto and
Yep.
only Otto, yeah.
They did Nato in the
as well.
beginning.
Oh, yeah,
Suffix
Yugi,
was
yeah.
there when Obo first left, then Otto, then Yugi. That's
yeah,
the order.
I mean
of stuff.
Yugi and Otto, basically like you saw the how they were playing those tournaments, that there was a problem, obviously, that poizon wasn't there, and now, well, at least I hope that they're gonna get in a good form again, because with poizon they were like actually like really good. All of their players are really good individually. Shame that that situation with Oba happened, obviously, but I really have I see a bright future for them, and I feel like if poizon doesn't have any problems like getting back into his form, this team is gonna be like easily like close to us somewhere.
Okay, so you don't think that, because obviously I'm not fucking blind, and I'm sure most people in the Counter-Strike community aren't either. The amount of threads that I've seen about like JKS's performance since joining complexity, all this stuff without using the context of the situation that's been going on. And I talk to Justin on a pretty frequent basis. I know that he's been upset with the performances he's been putting out there as well, and it's obviously not ideal. But do you think that all of that is a bit overblown and complexity will bounce back now that everybody's home, or do you think there'll be lasting effects from the time where they were, because they threw themselves at events, right? They knew they had standards, and yet they were still playing everything under the sun. Do you think that's done them more harm than good?
That's true. I believe that's a problem that they should like not forget the experience from it. Obviously, like from losing a tournament to tournament because of it, like they taking those tournaments, but then playing with the stand-ins all the time. And but like about the JKS, I mean, he's not playing even his roles, right? He's playing like these B anchor roles, and like I feel like if he's now getting used to them, and that now when poizon comes back, they're gonna bounce back easily and just become even stronger, I believe.
Okay.
I am a bit worried for JKS just because of confidence levels, just because it's been quite a long time since he was like the big star, even in a match, let alone in like an entire tournament he was used to. So that's definitely something that I want to keep an eye on, just to see if he can bounce back, because this is a pretty tough rut to be in for him, for sure.
Yeah, I've spoken to him a bit, like I was saying, and the thing was, like, I'm going to be honest with everybody right now. When this happened, and I knew that 100 Thieves was disintegrating, and I knew that there were players to go elsewhere, and JKS could have been on the market and go into complexity. I see everybody now talking about these role overlaps and shit, right? On the CT side, and I played with him for many years. His job was to be an anchor on a bomb site. Keish, the B bomb site anchor. We had him playing ramp on nuke, train, solo, inside. Like a lot of these positions that he's playing, similar positions on the CT side, right? Like he's not out of his comfort zones there. And I was going back and watching some of his games the other day when they had that really good major run. Obviously, I'm biased. Yeah, whatever. You guys can, like, it's fine. I get it. Like, we have different biases and shit here. But I'm going back and watching the games of where like he's playing very well at the major runs, and he's being more aggressive on the T sides than what I'm used to seeing him these days, right? And I don't know like if there is genuinely a rollover. Obviously, Blame F, very, very lurky boy, right? This is one of the things that I have that gets stuck in my head. I was playing when hardcore lurkers like Happy and Get Right were some of the best players in the game. We all know that Counter-Strike can't be approached that way anymore, right? Like you cannot literally lurk every single round and expect to get away with the same shit like you would we did years ago. The game has evolved. Players like YEKINDAR are smart, right? They actually watch demos. Back in my day, We were meatheads. Throw smoke, start a round, run, kill, win. Right? That's the fucking level of Counter-Strike. It's changed. But I think that these T-side rounds, like I remember in the early days when JKS first joined and Blame was on the team and everybody else died and they found themselves in a 2-on-4, and then JKS and Blame would play off of each other very well. Like, I don't know if we're looking at like recency bias here, but I don't know. Prof, what do you make of this complexity situation? You think it's completely fucked?
I'll give them like a fully clean slate for
If
when Poizon...
JKS still sucks now that poizon's back continuously in back-to-back events, I'll get on him just as much as everybody else. I'll send a kind of message on WhatsApp and say, Justin, what have I got to do to get you back to that form, right? But I truly think that people have critiqued this so harshly in a period where the team has been unstable because a 17-year-old kid got homesick and had to go home, right? Like, that is started all these form of negative events, right?
Yeah. That is kind of my thinking on it. Like, I want to give them 2 events playing with their full lineup in a normal circumstance and just judge them on that, because all of the other things, it's super hard. You're replacing your AWPer, you're not replacing a rifler. Like, that is someone you kind of build the team around, not completely. I wouldn't say complexity are a team that is like super hard based around the AWPer, but still, it's always going to be an important part of the team. So if you have stand-ins in that role, it's going to be pretty hard to have like a normal functioning team. And especially JKS coming into the team, constantly having these stand-ins, different stand-ins, you can't even get used to the general idea of the team, let alone the AWPer, which is different. And adding on to that, the roles, which are some of them are different, mostly on the T side. As you said, I think CT side, even before this happens, this was the same thinking. CT side should be pretty much okay, but the T side is going to be difficult. But the results aren't difficult only on the T side for JKS. It's everywhere. Just overall.
Yeah. Can I add something? Like the stability that player like. You can see the most players of like top teams, they're doing really, really well if they're playing a long time in the same like team. You know, like when you were talked about everything already in the game, and like you have the stability, you have the same paths. Usually, that's something happens. You always get you focus more on like killing, and like you don't think about like small details that you think about when you have actually stand-ins, where you actually need to like explain to him in around something or like before the game, and then he can forget about it, and then because of that the players like lose stability, and when they lose stability they actually like fuck up their like they don't kill from behind because they're thinking about something else. And I feel like that's a problem for them at the moment as well, for especially for JKS. I feel like
I really look, the thing is that I see all this shit on Reddit, and I remember what it was like when I was a player and just how hard cunts were on me. Like, people back in Australia were like, get Sponge out of this fucking team. Listen, motherfuckers, if you motherfuckers knew how much shit I was doing just so that my teammates could get paid on time, because Chris Badawi and Monte Cristo fucking paid us illegally over PayPal. Like, Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. My job was not just playing Counter-Strike, right? Like, I'm gonna blow a gasket in a second here. I'm getting fucking tilted at myself. But the thing is, I see all this negative criticism, and you all have you're all here ready to lynch a cunt. Like, everyone's like, yeah, fuck JKS, you shit, get in the fuck. Are you guys like insane? The kid was back-to-back 2 years in a row a top 20 player in the world. Like, it's been a spree of events where we can clearly see what the issue is. And if I'm wrong, and if there's still shit after this, and we should be on their case, I'll be with all of y'all. I'll be with you. I'll be there making the threads, commenting, yeah, fuck this guy, like being a baboon, smashing my face into a keyboard. But how about we actually use some context for once in our lives and look at this for what it is? It's a team which is in a terrible spot. I can imagine, right? I'm probably talking out of school here, but I'm just going to try this for a second. If I'm Blame F, right? And I'm not a motivated human, but Blame F is. And I've had really small periods in my life where I've been motivated for, I don't know, maybe about a week. And when I'm motivated for that period of time, it's a clear plan in my head. And I'm fucking go, 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 go. And when I get good results, I have a positive feedback loop. So I want those good results again. Bang, 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 bang. Just keep doing, keep grinding, keep this, keep that, keep that. When you have that and you find success like Complexity did in the middle of last year, and then it tapers off and it dies and it dips down because of all these factors which you possibly can't control, and the only thing you can control is that same stuff of bang, 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 continue, and you don't try and go, okay, there's a new problem here. How do we solve it? If I saw success like Blame F did, I would want to get back to that point immediately. This is it's a new team now in the sense they've had 6 months of really rough time. The game has evolved. They have a new player that isn't Oba. I've spoken about this before on the show, but like the problems that they find themselves in, these I think they'll change. I have so much faith that in this next event, it's the play-ins, right? Complexity are gonna. I think they have a hard first game.
They're in our bracket as well.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
We're playing Wisla Krakow. They're playing NIP, and if we win Wisla Krakow and they win NIP, then we're gonna meet.
Okay. Wait, so they play Blast before then. They play the Blast Premier Spring group before then against Vitality. Jesus Christ. Okay, so they don't have it easy. They have NIP who've looked good, and then they have Vitality who are obviously looking good. So it's going to be, they're going to go into the absolute storm complexity. Do we have anything else we want to say on complexity, or should we keep this one moving?
Keep it moving.
All right, let's keep going. All right, we're jumping into the first impressions here now. Just quickly for everybody playing at home, if you didn't catch it, GODSENT, they picked up a new roster. It was Tacos Boys. I think we talked about it. They also played a game in recent history before they were signed by GODSENT. That didn't go so well for them. But so far in this Sweet Snow Cup that they're playing in, it hasn't gone terribly. Did you manage to catch any of their games, Striker?
I didn't actually see the games. I only saw the results, which is, I mean, you obviously
still promising.
Yeah, exactly. You obviously have to take into consideration like what kind of teams they're playing, but it's still like, you know, a decent start into like beating even like I guess a team like EXTREMUM, which is, sure, it's a new team, but it's still like a bunch of players that actually know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So
2-0 as well.
Yeah.
And actually, like, no chance. I think 16-7, 16-8 or something.
Yeah, wrecked them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided as far as I remember.
It was pretty funny because they lost the first game to Lyngby Vikings. I think we talked about this last time
with NATO, right?
Yeah.
I think, we touched on it.
It's a new team actually, like with the Lyngby Vikings guy.
I remember Rals though. Yeah,
Rals is there. He's like an old school. He's like one of the first like bold predictions that we had back in 2013.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lineup that like Lyngby Vikings existed for a long time. But I think Bird from Sky, he's the in-game leader of the team, is the only guy that still is around from like 2-3 years ago. Because I remember when I was coaching the Croatian team, we used to play against Lyngby Vikings a lot in like open qualifiers, like rounds of 64, and they beat us like I think almost every time, but in close fashion.
Okay.
So this team elevated a lot from that time, and they have like 2 imports now as well. But yeah, just saying, GODSENT lost to them, and everyone was like, "Shit project, getting Taco's team, Lamau, Phelps so bad, only farming tier 7," and then they won the next three games 2-0. Include like some pretty convincing stuff. So
Sinners was close, but Pact and EXTREMUM were pretty clear cut. It was really hard as well because in some of these games I was watching, like Phelps wasn't the top fragger, and I was like, oh, okay. But that meant I got to see more out of these kids, right? Because for those people who aren't aware, it's Taco and Phelps, and they brought up 3 talents from the Brazilian scene. Dumao, which is a bad word in Vietnamese, I believe, Barton, and Lato, right? And we were like, who's going to AWP? Who's going to do this? And we're kind of working out as we go. And I suppose the team is as well. But this is the best environment for them to be in. Have you had any run-ins with these guys? YEKINDAR, in I don't know if they're in FPL. I don't know if you've practiced them at all. Have you watched any of their games? Is there anything about GODSENT that you've seen?
No, I only saw the results, especially the against EXTREMUM when they played, obviously. But I didn't manage to actually catch their games or play with them because they're not playing FPL, and I haven't had a practice against them.
Okay, well I guess we got to keep our eyes out for them. So initial impressions, I guess we're all. Yeah, that's kind of where the team should be at, right? Anything else to add, boys, for GODSENT?
Just in terms of opping, there's like 2 people that are kind of opping, which is Dumao and Phelps, but 2 more people actually picked it up a bit, but which doesn't seem to just like exit frags or some and stuff like that, which is both Barton and Taco.
Oh, really?
Latto is actually the only one who has no kills with it.
Okay.
From what I saw, obviously, I'm just like going off stats and what kind of kills they had with it. But usually, if it's like exit frags, it's only like 1 or 2 kills. You know, it's not like 5 to 10 across 3 games. So I feel like there's the fact that they said something like we can all pick up the AWP or something like that is kind of coming true.
I think it could be as well, like on different maps, like different positions, different players just off because like for example on Just do busters upping, and then on I don't know whatever vertigo I can pick up an up as well and
Yeah.
play an up. So it can be like that.
Positional stuff.
Yeah.
I remember watching one of their nuke games, I think it was, and I think it was Barton. He was hitting some good shots, but it's still a really quite close, rough game for them. We're assuming Taco's in game leading, right? That's the only thing that makes sense here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. I kind of like this. I think it's like the development in Taco's career. So for him and Dead, they get a chance here to. I think they've made the best move out of like Fallen's gone to a team where it's established. Fur, we don't know what he's doing right now. The other boys are off there with the Villa mix situation, and Taco's gone. Fuck it, I'll make my own team, and I kind of like that. I think that it's cool to kind of see what comes of this. Speaking of people making their own team, well, it's the same team. It's EXTREMUM plus Benta. I saw somebody post on Reddit the other day, like it was 7 or 8 years ago that Azza first played Benta in a game and we fucking railed NXL 16-1. So it's a little victories, guys. Give me that. All right. So with EXTREMUM, they're out of Sweet Snow. They didn't even get through the stage, the Swiss stage, which when you look at the competition, Prof, kind of feels unacceptable.
Kinda does feel unacceptable. I think they beat Izako Boars and they beat
Honoris,
yeah. So the Taz and Neo team. Those are the only 2 teams they beat, and then they lost to all of these better teams. GODSENT was one of them. Can't remember who
Force
they lost.
and
Windstrike. They lost to
Force and Windstrike, yeah. So
Windstrike loss is really
CIS.
CIS.
The year of CIS, you can't fuck with them. Yeah, but I think it can be kind of just down to being rusty, not playing officials, not playing together for a long time. They were in this weird situation with contracts and everything. So I don't think it's unacceptable. It's just an online tournament to get some practice in. They didn't need to win this. It's not going to change anything in their careers.
It does. Let me put it for you this way. Even though they have, where are they in ESL World Ranking? Even though they have ranking points, right? And even though that because of the core 4 of them and shit, they stopped playing last year in what? Like at IEM Beijing was the last event they played.
October.
So the highs of this team were after an extensive boot camp in Europe, both times, right? If we're going to be honest, that's where their highs came from, was extensive boot camps in Europe. What the fuck were they doing since October, right? Obviously trying to work out where they were going to be, having to move to all that kind of stuff. Okay, so move country. I believe a lot of them are based in Serbia. They're 25th in the world as per ESL World Rankings, which Renegades are 26th.
Yeah, it's not going to last long. That's the thing as well. Exactly. Because in a couple of months, all of that is gone. They're gone. So they need to get points as soon as possible. I don't think Sweet Snow is going to give them anything in ESL, though.
Sure.
It is going to give them something in HLTV. Maybe not now that they lost, but could have.
It probably hurts them, but that's my point, is that these smaller events that they play in, you cannot go out in the group stage. You need to make it to the playoffs, like to at least maintain some significance. Otherwise, you don't get the novelty. Oh, you're Australian in America now? Yeah, you get to be in Pro League. That doesn't fucking exist anymore. So they need to win these events. And from what I saw some good moments from Jacob. I saw some good moments from Benta. I saw some decent clutches from Liaz. I saw Azza had a good map or 2. I'm still really worried about Gratisfaction. I don't know if anybody else is feeling the same. I just feel that like his style of AWPing, it's not consistent. And then if he has to play more of a passive role as an AWPer, then I feel like he's not adding anything, unfortunately. And I'm not putting the whole thing on him. I think the whole team needs to put in a lot of work for them to come. They're 22nd by your world rankings. I don't even know how the fuck that's possible. That's all the residual points, right? YEKINDAR, you look at this
it's not even that long ago, that they played the NNA, so it's just like some residual stuff.
True. YEKINDAR, you look at this team, right? Benta, Azza, Jacob, Gratisfaction, Liaz. Do you think they're a threat for the top 10 in the world? Like to make it to the top 10?
I feel like they had a long break and they couldn't actually they in the same mindset that they were before when they actually were playing a lot and were playing in big tournaments and all that other stuff. And now coming back to the Snow Sweet Home, it's like a start of it's only the start, and I feel like in some time they could be in like top 20 for sure.
Okay.
I would say even top 15, but they're not gonna get fast in top 10 for sure. They will need some time, I believe. Like maybe depends on how much they play and all that stuff. Maybe like 8 months, I believe.
It's going to be a grind. So basically,
Yeah.
it's going to be a extremely long European boot camp. It's what we're looking at.
It's
here for
just
this
because like the level of CS now is like always improving. Like it
Yeah.
never stops in the COVID times, and like even before it wasn't even that harsh. Like now everybody's literally playing so much, grinding, always improving. Always you watch one more new demo, and you already see some new thing, you know. And
Okay.
it's always like that. You just keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. And like people who actually stopped rolling for some time, it's harsh for them because they're losing the rhythm, and then they need to work even harder to get back.
Where were you last year, mate, when we had the episode asking about what was changed during COVID? That's the shit we needed. We got good answers from Twists the other week. We got good answers from you on that. Anyway, Prof, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to say it's just like the meta as well, changing pretty fast, and them being in North America. That's one thing that's maybe overlooked. It's not like they were in Europe playing against the best teams. They were playing in North America, where the level was already on the downward trajectory, and then they come to Europe and they don't play almost for 3 months or 4 months in any competitions, and then they play these like lower tier tournaments where it's even more crazy. People doing crazy shit, geeking out in the weirdest smokes, executes, weird setups, whatever the fuck. So that is going to take some time to get adjusted to, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so it's one of two things. I think it's going to be a long grind, or they're going to have to make changes in the short term to try and facilitate what's going on. I'm assuming it's going to be the latter because they decided to stick together and they decided to bring Benta. Let's keep this moving. ENCE, so they in the same tournaments. No, we don't usually talk about tournaments at this level. It's crazy that we're doing that. I guess it's because so many newish
It's
rosters
relevant teams, taking part in them. So
true. We saw in Snow Sweet Snow, ENCE go 3-0 in the Swiss stage, win over Isaac Boers, the Vikings, and Endpoint. I think the Endpoint one is the most impressive to me. But the kid who's standing out, and it's not like this is a new thing. We all remember Diha back when he was playing with Taz's Aristocracy, and then they went on as well. Diha was the star of the team back then, and he went to Sprout for a little while. He was there with Snatchy, quite the workhorse for them. And now in this roster, it appears like he's one of the star players of ENCE. So in case you missed it, ENCE have gutted the Finnish side. They're down to Alu and Doto. They still have Saw as the coach, who came over from Havu. They added Snappy. I believe he's obviously doing the in-game leader stuff. So Snappy, we all know he's very good in-game leader, setting up the foundations of your team. Spinks, you just mentioned him before, YEKINDAR, and then Diha. So this new ENCE, we mentioned last time round, Striker, it's not going to be worse. But these already seem like very positive signs, especially with a win over Endpoint.
Yeah, and like especially Diha just like taking the star role this quickly. We kind of saw, or we talked about it last time, that we kind of saw him being like probably the main star alongside with somebody like a Spinks, probably, as like an up and coming player. But I mean, to be fair, like they got pretty hard carried by Diha. Yeah, like
sure.
I was looking at even when
Luke,
I just linked it.
So, bring it up, Lucas. For
there
everybody.
you go. Yeah, I was looking into that like 2 days ago, or like yesterday, I think. And he had 3 out of 7 maps with 30 plus kills, and only one of those went into overtime. So it's like that's like hard carry stuff, especially against the Danes playing by Vikings. So
this is
Pavel, man, Pavel.
YEKINDAR level stats. What's going on, mate? This is your stats. What are we talking about?
Diha is insane, man. It's like legit, man. I'm playing FPL with him. He has this big ass crosshair. Like I don't know. It's like size 5 and like gap 3 or gap 2, like CS 1.6 crosshair large, and he's just running around and like, and I'm like, yo, Dihi, you're insane, man. He's like so humble as well, man. I love him. And now I believe like with ENCE, like Spinks is a really good player as well. I believe like it's gonna be a bit of a refresh for all of the team because Snappy will call probably, right? If I'm not, if I suppose so. So I believe like it's a refresh for Alos, refresh for Diha because out of Sprout, and like completely players who haven't actually played together, like coming in and actually playing together and like getting to know each other. I believe it's they can actually do some damage in the near future. I believe so.
Now
Diha's in the chat, and the first thing people are asking him for is the crosshair.
Prof, on what YEKINDAR is saying, if we're just going to use that to jump off of here, if we know Diha has been around for a while, right? We're not saying he's just new on the scene, but obviously he's a star player here. You put him with Spinks, who YEKINDAR is saying is a talent of the future. You add him into the mix with Doto, who's getting his first opportunity at this level of Counter-Strike, is going to work hard. You have a veteran player who's had to be humbled in recent times of Alu. You have Snappy, who's been thrown around the Counter-Strike scene.
He's used to this.
He
This is like just another day.
He's like,
In the office, yeah.
new team. Okay, let's start again. Day one.
Top
Nuke
50 in
bases.
the world. No invites. Let's go.
But this mix, though, say let's look at this. Is Dihar and Spinks, right, can deliver from the star power role. Snappy now has a good basis of firepower, something that some of his teams have lacked. It feels like the organization, especially with Natu there, I know people are gonna be like, well, it was mismanaged before. Natu's a very smart guy. I think that a lot of you probably don't know him as well as I do on a personal level. He's been around the block. He understands the Counter-Strike landscape. Dodo, as I mentioned, he's just going to be a grinder. I feel like he's just going to be a role filler for the team, right? He knows what type of opportunity this is in the one interview I got to do with him. And then Alu, he's reaching the twilight stages of, how old is Alu? He's reaching the end of, okay, so he's reaching the end of his career at the top, right? So for him, and knowing how badly he fucked it up with his countrymen, surely, Prof, this is the chance for ENCE to actually turn shit around.
Yes. So what should I say more than that?
No, but like, do you think that there is a chance for this team? Like, I'm painting the best picture here. Do you agree with that? Are you?
I mean, I was kind of optimistic. Just like if I judge how other people thought about this team,
yeah,
like the average, and from that, like look where I am. I was pretty optimistic. I feel like, and mostly because of like Dika and Spinks as a duo.
All right.
Dika especially because I think it was just like super overlooked in this whole transfer period and probably could have gone to a better team. And like Sprout getting rid of the 2 Polish players, I think that was not the best idea.
Interesting maneuver.
Regardless because they did it before. Like, why are they still doing the cycle all the time? Doesn't really make sense. Like, oh, we're German. No, now we're international. Now we're German. They actually started as international. Fun to be even funnier. So yeah, I think Dika probably could have gone to a better team if other people had eyes or something, or were critical enough about their own performances in the last like 6 months and realized they needed a roster change, but they didn't. So
okay, I also think it's people kind of overlook Alu as being like actually a decent opera for how long he's been in the game. I think people just like think of ENCE as, you know, this trash team that's been at the bottom as just being sinking, but Alu, like throughout this all, has actually been pretty consistent individually. So for him to stay on that team, I think was a good call, at least from like the individual standpoint.
It's obviously like in the sense of how destructive it seems from the outside looking in with the whole ENCE project towards the end, that maybe there's more about him as a person. But I would say that if you're getting a wake-up call, like your teammates calling you out live on a podcast in front of thousands of people, that probably is going to make someone self-reflect pretty hard, right?
Before James
tweeted about YEKINDAR, what do you mean you don't like fucking sitting and waiting for 45 seconds, motherfucker? You know? But all right. I'm
pretty sure he knows, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
James, I mean.
Yeah. All right, so that's our first impressions. I think we're done with that. Let's keep this moving. We're going to jump into the Blast Premier stuff. Now, one of the things I want to touch on here before we talk about the first group is the change to do with overtime. I don't know how many people saw this.
Like 12,500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, YEKINDAR?
I feel like that's a good change because like usually when people have like this 16k money, they would instantly buy double up instantly on, of course, like I believe on every map. It doesn't matter which map.
Maybe not an Inferno. See this side.
And maybe not Vertigo as well, but other maps probably like double up instantly. Then even after they lose the round, they have double up again, and then on third round they still have a buy. Now that's like illegal because like it doesn't get an advantage. Like the terrorists that are winning 2 rounds in a row are not having any advantage in the third round.
Sure.
And that's just I believe it's not logical. And 12,500, it's not 10 where you lose.
Have to eco or
you have to eco. Yeah. Or so I believe 12.5 is just a really good number, and it's gonna be really good.
Okay. Do we think that this change striker is the overall solution, or do you think it's just the best of the options we have available right now?
I think it's fine. I feel like in general that the whole topic is a bit overblown. I agreed with when it was like MR5 and people were even sometimes doing 10K. It just goes crazy, you know. There's
That's
like the
insane.
economy is just way too much into
Do
play.
it double eco, please.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was like a period where that was even a thing. And with 16K, even like you can with MR5, you can actually run out of money as well.
Yeah.
But I think this is like a good middle ground for it.
I did the basic maths on it, right, for the T side. Assuming you don't get plants, and the loss bonus is as the loss bonus, you know, get 1400 for first, 19, so on. Like you're talking for T's for a full buy with AK head armor and everything, it's 4900, right? So like with the loss bonuses coming through, you'd be able to buy AK, full set of nades with armor every single round, even if you don't win a round, right? That's not factoring in getting kills or planting the bomb. That's just round after round after round if you lose with a loss bonus. The CT side, obviously, we know it's a bit more expensive. So you're talking closer to that 6K mark as a full buy, and then the AWPs come into play. And like I didn't include AWPs in this, I was just meaning rifle rounds. One of the things that I always thought we could do was just have the money at the start of every round would mean you don't carry guns across. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about different formats for this, and picking up AKs is very vital. But it'd be like you start every round with 8K in overtime, right? You just like play the round, you get reset, you get 8K again, right? Now, obviously, that completely takes the economy out of the game. Do we think the economy is important in overtime? Whole different discussion. But yeah, all in all, I thought this was a good change to see. Obviously, like YEKINDAR just mentioned, from a player perspective, is a good change. Prof, you got any thoughts on this?
No.
Not anything crazy.
No.
All right, cool. Well, I want to tee you up with Astralis straight away then. Not making the top two at Blast. How does that make you feel? You starting to see cracks?
It is unexpected, definitely, especially because we saw going into the group, no one expected anything from NIP. Like they didn't really do well even at tournaments with like lower tier opposition, like the Summit that they played before was kind of meh. And then they also replaced Twist. Not the part that they're replacing Twist, but they brought in ZTR, who no one saw before. That doesn't make any sense. Just doesn't. Respect the English language. No, but really, like no one saw him before doing much in the Young Ninjas team or anywhere. Like, okay, a young player with some potential, potentially. That's how I saw it. How can they do anything in this group? That was a must-win for Astralis in my eyes. And then OG, Big, like those two teams, maybe. Like if they lost to OG and Big, then maybe I could be like, okay, but they lost to NIP, who had kind of a miracle game, let's be real. So
I mean, that fashion in which they lost is, I think, the key part, because that's not usually what Astralis tend to do. They tend to be good in the late stages of games. They tend to close games pretty consistently. And this was like 2 games in a row where they just fluffed like a lead, or were just like in a situation where they could break them in the next round, but just like gave up like a stupid round in that, like whatever, the first map against NIP, and then, you know, lost the rest of their game basically. Yeah. And so like the fashion in which they are losing these games is the one that is the worrying part about this.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just a little bit rusty, you know, not, you know, being super warmed up into the year yet, and next tournament they're going to be fine. But like that combined with like their atrocious pistols as well, because they had like horrible pistol stats as well, something like 3 out of 17 or something crazy like that at first. And so that in combination is a little bit worrying. But you know, this is the kind of stuff that I feel like is not going to be a theme with Astralis.
All right. Now, YEKINDAR, before we were talking to you, you know, about like the goals of the team and everything, basically from what I took, we were saying Astralis are the top dog. They're the gold standard for Counter-Strike, and beating them is, you know, what it's all about. Now, when you watch them going into events like this, they beat OG, but the rest of the game's pretty rough. What are you making of the issues for Astralis? Are you more on the side of what Strike is saying? It's just maybe just a temporary thing. It's just one event.
I believe so. I think it was just the amount of focus, that they didn't have the full focus that they should be having usually. And I saw the NIP match, and there were like some, I don't know, NIP just was winning like solo duels, getting like those solo kills, and then just something like, as you said, miraculous happened, like when basically. And I feel like Astralis is gonna rewatch that match and just understand what they need to understand for themselves, and just come back even better. next time.
Okay. Now, if I was any good at my job, I would have had like the interview now ready with the post game with Zonic, where Pimp and Maniac and Banks were asking him questions about the team and stuff, because there's a lot of good stuff in that to reference. It sounded like, from my perspective, when I was listening to that interview, that Zonic was referencing that this time around they were focusing more on their individual players being informed and less about the tactics, and then felt that they were maybe lacking a little bit in their gameplay and understanding of how to approach situations. I remember Pimp, or I think it was Pimp, he asked a question about like in certain situations where they'd get the opening duel and then they'd just freeze, like what we were referencing you guys did well before, and asking how, basically Zonic, hey, that wasn't happening, you know, what's going on there? And Zonic acknowledged that that was a problem and wasn't sure why that was an issue. It felt like they were trying to rush scenarios instead of being good with the clock. I'm gonna play devil's advocate to you guys, because I think, you know, the way that it's been spoken about with YEKINDAR and Striker talking about, yeah, they'll be back from this in no time. I want to just be the evil person here. It's not that I necessarily think this, and I want to paint that for everybody that this is not my opinion. I'm just giving you guys something to think about. When ESA-TAG got, okay, I'm going to say a lot of stuff here. Now, whether or not this is true, it doesn't matter if this is true, because it's what I heard. Okay, so what I'm about to say is stuff that I heard. Doesn't necessarily mean that stuff is true. It's just, this is what I'm basing this off of, information that I gathered throughout my time. The information that I gathered throughout my time was that Astralis were trying to sell Zipex, Bubsky, or ESA-TAG. It didn't matter which one. They were just trying to push them on whatever team that they could to get rid of one of them, right? They eventually got rid of ESA-TAG, which, if I could pick from the three, would have been the one I would have kept. Now, not only because he had fantastic results with the team and played above and beyond as a better player than he was, I actually think that out of the two names left beside him, both playing quite rigid roles, ESA-TAG seemed like a very flexible player. Great movement, pretty good on secondary AWP, looks like a really good teammate, has always played more of a team-based role within the team, but when he was needed to step up in certain roles and frag, he did exactly that. Zipex, more for clutching, more for anchoring, more for being a passive element of the team. Bubsky, more aggressive, probably more overlap with the likes of Dupree and Magus, would only want to use him on certain maps where they wanted a lot of aggression. ESA-TAG, jack of all trades, can do it all. I remember when it happened and ESA-TAG went, I think that like Zonic made some kind of a comment saying, you know, it wasn't up to him. So if things, right, now this is where I'm going to keep going, if things continue to trend in a way where Astralis don't get back on the horse, and this is where maybe a little bit of resentment might build up against the org or the decision makers on why couldn't we keep ESA-TAG? Why the fuck did we get left with this guy, right? I thought, of course, they're not going to say it that crassly. They're not an Australian moron like me. But this is where, like, I think that if things stay bad for a while, cracks might start to form. Now, Prof, you've just heard my logic and the things that I've just said. Where are you sitting in this whole Astralis situation? I'm not saying they're going to be bad. My job, I literally sit there and go, Astralis, the best fucking team to ever do it. You know, like I know these guys are a great team, but we're talking about right now.
Yeah, the problem I have with that theory is I don't think Astralis actually, like the Astralis players, really care about having the 6th player. Like, they expect to be the best with the 5 that they have, and I think the whole thing with Boobski or ESA-TAG being the 6th wouldn't change anything. And even if they had ESA-TAG as the 6th or 7th or whatever, they'd still probably want to play with Zipnix primarily. So I don't think that actually has any bearing on the whole thing. That is my logic behind it. Doesn't matter who left or whatever. I mean, and we saw it here. Boobski didn't even play a single game, so
yeah, he was asked about that as well, Zonic.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play Nuke, right? So.
No, but it was even asked. Pimp even asked, was he going to play Nuke? And Zonic made the statement that both Zipex and Bubsky were practicing Nuke, and he decides who plays. He didn't say who was going to play. He just said
that's kind of a theme with Astralis. Yeah, we never get to learn what's happening until it happens.
So. Sorry, Prof, I cut you off there. Do you want to jump back in?
I just want to say Boobski once again, so everyone in the chat goes wild.
What do you think of this mix, YEKINDAR? Like, obviously they have the 6th man. You guys aren't playing with the 6th man, but what do you make of them flirting with that idea a little bit? Like, do you think it's a good thing? Like, what is your take on that?
I believe it could be a good thing, and depends on like the players in the team. So if they're open for it, if they actually need the 6th player, then it's gonna be good. But looks like that they actually don't need it. We as well had a talk about the 6th player, so in our eyes, if we take a 6th player, we are all individually skilled, like really good, and there's no. We either take a really superstar player that is gonna he can switch every team, like every player of our team, or either we don't take a 6th player because we don't need any other player because of like our individual level. So I believe if Astralis wants to experiment, why not? And if it works for them, great.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving. Do we have anything else we want to say on Astralis here? I tried to paint like a negative picture. You guys posted.
Yeah, but go Striker.
No, I mean it's just way early to say, right? Like we've seen Astralis have like weird tournaments where they just don't look entirely like themselves, you know, making mistakes they otherwise wouldn't have. But usually, like next tournament or at worst the one after that, they're back to like the level that we expect from them. So I don't expect this to last. I
wouldn't be doing my job properly, Striker, if I didn't pretend to paint one thing. So in like 3 or 4 months from now, if bad things happen, I go, remember, I said in February, and then I can cut out the context of me saying this isn't my actual opinion, right? I can. That's the great thing with media. Okay, so let's keep this moving. We'll talk about Big. Now, this is another one where we're fucking jumping all over the place because Big were looking good in the middle of last year. Then they were looking meh. And then they started this and they're looking good again. But once again, it's another one of these, oh, is it too soon? Because the Big that I saw absolutely bend fucking NIP over on, was it Vertigo?
Vertigo.
I'm watching that game. NIP, they're not there for a good time. Like, they haven't signed up for that. They haven't gone, yeah, this looks like fun. They were just getting fisted, and that Big was looking so scary. It was so scary watching that Big because they were all just marauding around the map doing whatever they wanted. It was like it didn't even. There was one point there was like a pause, and I saw like Threat was talking, and I can imagine the only thing Threat was saying was like, "Can we just fucking kill them?" Because like it honestly looked like seriously running up scaffolding short with an AWP, just killing 3 people, like nobody's business. At that point, you just question like, okay, like what's going on here? This doesn't even look fair. This version of Big, Striker, this is the one we want to see, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, at the same time, NIP have been looking kind of trash from Vertigo, so maybe that was a part of it, especially in that game, because back on Overpass, they were even in a winning position. They were like 7-0 up or something at the start, and they were like 12-12, I think, before even 14-14, I think was before Big closed it out. So it's not like they were horrible in that entire series. I think it's just Vertigo that's kind of a problem for them at this point, because they've kind of been going away from it and not really looking very good on it. So I just want to see how that unfolds a little bit later, because they even lost it to Dignitas, I think, in Summit.
Sure.
So I feel like there's just it's just a map thing that they that's happening to them, because otherwise, I mean, we're obviously going to touch on this later, but NIP have actually looked quite good.
Yeah, and I think let's stick with Big for a second here. When you watch this team, YEKINDAR, they're obviously ranked above you guys right now. HLTV, they're 4th. You guys are 6th. It's obviously the top 10 gets very, very close. But is this a team that you look at and you go, yeah, they're the real deal? Because I know that a lot of people put question marks around it, like online Tares and like Germans being onliners and shit. Is this a team that you play and go, yeah, they're fucking legit?
Well, I mean, we think about it about any team, obviously, and yeah, I mean, Big was always a top tier team, I think, and we played. I believe we played against them in Flashpoint. I'm not really sure. I think yes, and they're a really nice team. But I believe in Flashpoint they were a bit tired.
Okay.
So now after like the break, they're back. They're destroying NIP on Vertigo, and they're gonna start rolling soon until a big bear comes and stops them. But but no, I actually that was a joke. But I actually believe that they're a really good team, really good individual players, and really good role management. So I really think they have a good year in front of them.
They're quite system based though, right? They're more like an Astralis than they are like I guess a NAVI in terms of like they have their star players, but it seems like they're quite systematic in more of an Astralis style, right? Doing things by the book. Do you think with a team like that even your system can be great, which means you're going to get like a baseline of results, but do you think that a team like that needs their X factors to pop off more, like Syrison to not always have a good game, but more often than not have a good game?
Who's this question to?
Anybody.
Okay.
Go nuts. I mean, I didn't direct it.
If you ask me, the X factors here are almost are almost like Keto and Tizian for
not
me.
the Saracens. He keeps delivering.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
I actually agree as well.
Yeah.
Xantares to a degree, because it depends. Like sometimes against the best teams, he doesn't really perform to the same level. Like when you have him in when they're playing a DreamHack Open, you pick Xantares for the fantasy, right?
Mhm.
When they're playing Blast, you pick Saracen, you pick Tabson, some of these guys. So that's kind of my logic. So maybe Xantares there is still not up to the full level, but I think on Blast the difference makers were Keto and Tizian, because they both had like either like great maps overall or like some key rounds where they delivered to like swing the tides of like close games.
Sure.
So the two of them delivered in my eyes, and if they can keep a similar level in these big tournaments, then that could be the key to winning more titles for big.
Well, he had very sweaty hands on Keto yesterday, didn't he? Jesus Christ, that bloody amount of paper rocking up. Do you get sweaty hands, YEKINDAR?
Usually not, because it's always cold in my room. Because
Okay.
I hate being in a like warm environment.
The hot environment. All right. All right. Do we have much more we want to mention about big, or do we want to move on to the ninjas?
I just like watching Saracen, man. He's just such a good player.
Yeah, it's exciting to
That's
watch.
all I want to say.
All right.
He even had an AK highlight this tournament. Like not a highlight. He had like a 3K or something.
He had that one on Nuke like late last year. I remember as well, like a 2-on-5 or some shit with an AK. Yep. He's definitely able to do it all. Let's take a look at NIP, because these guys replaced a player 2 days before the event. Crazy, right? They had better results. See, this is the thing. We were on. When I say we, I'll probably hold myself in for a second. I was on that nip dick for a while. Like I was like, man, this is gonna seem like a really cool team. Like when Hampus first came in, it didn't look fantastic, but then it started looking better. We knew Nork was pretty sick. We know Plopsky's a really proficient rifler. Obviously, we had Twist and Rez as the more veterans. We know how good Rez can be. He's had his moments in the past. Oakland comes to mind. Threat there. We love a good threat system. And then they just never really got off the ground. Like it was like false starts, a good game, and then a good game, and then and then they just go, all right, well, what if we just get rid of Twist? And then they add this kid, and then they beat fucking Astralis. Do you put that more down to Astralis striker or more down to NIP? Because Hampus made a comment, right, about there being like no one raging.
I mean, yeah. And to be fair, like Twist did seem like the guy who just had trouble dealing with generally big matches and stuff like that. Just because he got nervous, got down on himself when he just like made mistakes and stuff like that. You could see it from cameras that he just isn't very comfortable in like pressure situations. And so that kind of makes sense to me that they just got like a calmer player to just like fix the atmosphere a little bit more, not have somebody tilt during games and stuff like that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. If Hampus said that, I didn't actually see the comments, so I'm not entirely sure.
Mate, I just read headlines, so take what I say with a fucking grain of salt.
I still think it's just the honeymoon.
There it is. That was the question I was about to ask you. So honeymoon.
Yeah, I just believe that the Astralis actually gave their game away, and NIP just were hyped up because obviously first official with a new player, new like atmosphere, new like feelings, and then after a month come here, Astralis 16-4, 16-5 or something.
Okay.
I don't want to trash talk anyone. just saying my thoughts,
Sure. No, and Prof, do you see that, or where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of yeah. I stay, but
it showed in the end that when they played against Big for the first place in the group as well. So
the thing about NIP is I don't think ZTR is going to be their 5th player. So I don't really want to judge. Like they didn't say this is going to be their 5th player. It's just like Twist is out of their lineup, and they'll be playing with ZTR.
What if they bring Lekro back, Prof? You in?
I actually was thinking about that. I think that makes complete sense. That would actually probably work.
Okay.
I don't see why that wouldn't work.
You're right. I actually would, considering the roles. Considering the style of player.
ZTR is also like he was in-game leading for the Young Ninjas. Like we're in-game lead. They can figure something out there. He doesn't have to lead for this team, but maybe he can. Depends on what they need. Maybe just like secondary calling, something like that. Lycra's a good player. He could fit in, take some shitty roles. I think it makes sense.
Okay. I guess it's interesting to see what happens with NIP now, because we were joking in our chat, like, well, when I say we, I was like, I would find it hard to believe that the team would just get like 3 times better with Twist just off the roster. That just seems crazy. But if it was, something that was bringing the mood down for the squad or whatever, then yeah, okay, that makes sense. And we know that there's a lot of young, skilled kids out there these days who are just, fucking little nerds with your jiggle peaks and your fuck all of you. You make it hard for an old man like me just to play pugs these days. You're all too good.
Just to point something out, because someone in chat said wrong, they confirmed ZTR is in the roster.
I know they made a tweet.
They made a tweet which said, we present our CSGO team, and then like some meme names. And someone said, is this official? And then reply there down in the comments.
It's a meme.
It's a meme. So it was a meme. It wasn't serious.
So we don't
Maybe
know.
it's a meme that it's a meme.
That's true too.
Yeah. And so it's a meme plus a wink smiley. You don't.
Yeah, you never know, actually, for real.
As a boomer, like I'm a boomer. I'm old, guys. I was born in 1989. That was the year of my birth. So I'm old compared to all of y'all. You, as the next generation of kids, are ruining my language. Okay? We can't call everything a meme. You know what word we used to have instead of meme that you guys have just decided goes for everything? It used to be joke. That's what we used to have. That's a joke. He's joking. Now we have that's a meme. He's memeing. Why have we done this? A meme, I'm pretty sure, is like an internet thing with a picture and a fucking thing and a this, right? We can't call everything a meme. Social media manager at NIP, fix it. That's a joke. It's not a meme.
Come on, boomer.
I think you're a meme.
I'm a meme. But at least people can laugh at my expense. And I only hate myself a little bit these days. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, we got groups B and C coming up. Let me get the link to this for Lucas. So for those people who aren't too familiar, Blast has 12 partner teams. It's broken up into a multi-stage season. This is their fall season. This is their spring season that we're in right now. They have their group stage. It's 3 groups of 4 teams. It's a double elimination bracket with each group. The top 2 teams go through to their finals. The next 2 teams go into the showdown. One of the things I wanted to take issue with, but we don't have enough time today, was them saying it's the most inclusive format. I'll get stuck into that in the future. That's not a thing I have to worry about right now. Clicking. Lucas, can you please bring this up for everybody and scroll down to groups B and C? So let's kick off with, yeah.
Are we just going to find like the most interesting things, or?
I don't want to go in depth. I just want to look at this and just basically go across the room. Who's going to win the group, right? Who's going to win? And we'll just go like that. We can even just predict the matches with all of us here. That's probably the best way to do this because we don't need to talk about the teams. So group B, it's Vitality, Complexity, EGG2. What's the consensus? YEKINDAR, who's winning? VP Complexity. I mean, Vitality Complexity.
Vitality.
Okay,
Yeah.
EGG2.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think G2 should win it.
All right. And then Vitality G2.
Vitality. Oof. Have we seen them play this year? Vitality. Only. Oh.
That's a good question.
Am I crazy? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think we would have had the hype around Kenny versus Zywoo.
Yeah. So I think Vitality is like 60%, but like G2 could give a
good run for their
fight.
money.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think whatever happens, it's still going to be Vitality and G2 going to the playoffs, getting the top 2 spots, and then Complexity, if they get their shit together, maybe they could contend. I think EG is kind of out of the picture for me based on their results over the past like 2-3 months.
That's fair enough. All right. Group C, just quickly, NAVI, MIBR. I feel this one almost writes itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, NAVI, Pro. I think we'd also that. And FaZe Liquid. Well, if FaZe are not playing with Carrigan because they can't be bothered to spend the buyout to get him out of mouse sports early.
I mean, they essentially confirmed that. coldzera did confirm it in an interview, saying that they are expecting to get their 5th player like late March or April, something like that. He said that.
So this game is meant to be played on Friday. This week, so that means Carrigan will not be playing. Means Olaf will probably still be standing in,
unless something magical happens or coldzera's lying. But most likely not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen like Dexter pracking with Mouse in Europe, right? So we all know that that's happening. So we're just waiting for Carrigan's contract to end. So I just think we all assume Navi and Liquid from Group C.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Easy one. Okay. Nothing too exciting here. Seems pretty clear cut. Let's quickly close this one down. YEKINDAR, it's 10 o'clock now. If you want to bail, we can let you go. If you want to hang around, we're going to go into playtime now, and we got some questions from viewers for you. You want to hang around for that?
If you can check if there are some questions for me, I can answer them fast, and then I can bail out.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to hold you for too long. All right, Lucas, don't throw the bumper. Prof, what are those questions right there?
Just let me take a. There is one question says, "Why did you stop playing FPL?" Is that even true? Because
Yeah.
I think it's just interesting because you're someone that kind of grinded a lot of FPL and made a name for yourself almost there.
That's actually kind of true. I'm not playing FPL that much as I used to play, obviously, because of, I don't know, just a lot more practice and a lot more actual tournaments where you need to balance out your energy that you're using throughout the week, and I don't want to be wasting energy on streaming FPL or even playing FPL without a stream when I have like the next day after I have like really long day of practice ahead. So I'm just not playing that much.
Is this coming from you, or is this like some sort of coaching staff, you know, that told you how to I don't know, manage your time and stuff?
It's mostly coming from me, but like I asked about this, I talked about this with James, and he gave his opinion, and but basically he said that I should be playing some FPL, but not that much as I used to play. So I'm just doing that because it's just my my body just feels that I should not be playing.
Okay.
There are questions. I think there's a question about like your fighting career. It says, have you ever knocked anyone out?
Yeah, I had like 3 times, I think.
A lot of random questions.
The random ones are the best.
What is your favorite food after official games?
Ooh. Yo, it depends if we win or we lose.
So what each?
If we win, I usually get like, I don't know, pizza probably, or like sushi or something like that. And if we lose, I just go drink water and go to sleep.
Oh.
So what is okay, now that we kind of covered, what do you consider your biggest achievement so far?
Flashpoint, obviously, Summit, and I don't know, nothing else, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. The 2 biggest events you want. I don't think we count that DreamHack event, right? You only have to beat Saw.
I don't want to count.
How many Portuguese fans am I going to upset by saying that?
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
Sorry, Portuguese fans.
Clip that, send it to Frag.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Go right now.
No. What's his name? Stadodo? What's his name?
Stadodo.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Don't come after me.
Cut that. Don't include that. And there's a question. Maybe this will be interesting for some people trying to make it. It says, how many hours did it take for you to reach global or a level 10 on Faceit? If you remember, just like approximately.
I was level 10 when I had 1.8.
Okay. Yeah, 1.8 thousand hours. That's okay.
That's pretty good.
I have more than that, not level 10. So never going to get there, probably. Career. Yeah, my professional career not going anywhere. And there is a question from Gekons. A lot of questions, similar questions. A lot of similar questions about like either Baltic super team or something like that. His question was, Baltic region players don't lack opportunities to get to the top. They lack character.
Ooh.
Any suggestions on how to tackle the issue and make long-term improvements in the scene?
I feel like Gekons is not right about the opportunities, because I feel like if we had a lot more players and that people had the opportunity to play with like those good players in like local scene, they would be like getting faster overall in development. But since we don't have that much players, then we just don't have the opportunity. They need to go international, and that's just different. So, but like about the character, it's just, I don't know, if a person is weak, he's weak. If a person wants to eat, he will get food. If a person is just doesn't want to work hard and doesn't want to achieve something, he will never achieve anything.
That's the fucking mindset right there. That's the thing. I had that realization recently. If I want to be a bitch and not wake up and exercise and stuff, I'm gonna be a bitch. But if I want to fucking do it, I'm gonna do it. It sounds so crazy to make things that simplified, but realistically, at the end of the day, that's it. When you're trying to pursue something, right? That's either like a passion or a commitment. It's just about putting in those reps. I wanted to ask a lot of questions about the team. Have we gotten any more there, Prof, from the people at home?
Just one. Also, people are asking in chat. I think a couple of guys asked, what are you going to buy the car that you promised your mother? So I don't know the context, but seems interesting.
Yeah, it's after the Flashpoint when Monte Cristo asked me what will I buy for the money. I said that I'm gonna buy my mom a car, and I will when I get the money. So
Okay.
So it's down to Flashpoint, basically.
Yeah.
There you go.
Waiting on the transfer. All right. I wanted to ask, first of all, what res are you using?
Full HD.
Okay.
1920 1080.
So with this, right, here's a question for you. The other day, maybe you can answer because I'm a moron. The other day I was looking into like all the pros configs and stuff on that website that Apex has made. And a lot of the top guys, like Simple and Zywo and stuff, are all using, I think it was 1280.
960.
Like stretched on.
Yeah, 4x3.
What the fuck? Like, what is it? Just because I tried to rationalize it, right? I tried to sit here and go, surely the best players in the world, like Nico, like surely there's a reason they're using that res instead of like the native res or something like that. What do you have any thoughts on that kind of stuff? Just in general with the reses, like what makes sense?
You needed that Sanji right here or Buster because they're all around those resolutions. They're always like changing something, some settings. Yo, I'm playing vanilla CS. That when I bought CS, I didn't change shit in my game. Basically, only sensitivity, crosshair. I think nothing else. Maybe like volume settings or something. But not any like I didn't touch anything else. So. For me, like, it doesn't matter. If player wants to play on 1280, 960, play it. But I don't know, I'm used to playing Full HD. But I believe, like, Full HD is the best resolution.
Okay.
It is objectively the best resolution because you don't miss shit on the sides when, like, the angle is wrong, so...
Okay, well that answers my question. So it is just that whole personal preference, but type of thing. I had some other questions, like because we don't really get to know a lot of what's going on within VP. Obviously, when we have you on or Kickit comes on for an interview, post game, the questions are normally more around the game, right? Who in the team is there like someone asked in chat here as well? Who the clown of the team was? Who's the funny guy, like the one keeping the mood good?
I actually said this in an interview in Summit.
Yeah.
So like they were asking the same question, and I told them a story. Like it happened 2 days before that interview, so it's like 1.5 weeks ago, probably. I came to the TeamSpeak. I was just sitting talking, and I was like, "Hey guys, who's the clown in our team?" And James goes like, "If you don't know it, then it's obvious who's the clown."
Yeah, okay. Well, you have a very important role in the team then. No, it is like to be the mood setter, dude. Like that, with teams who lack that, they just fucking go into this pit of despair. So like that's a really important role. Speaking of important roles, now we've spoken about this guy a lot on the show, and I kind of feel like we need to talk about him some more with you here. Your boy Sanji.
Yeah. That's my boy.
Is he practicing MP9s? Like, what's this guy do to practice? Because it feels like he's on an SMG every second fucking round.
Actually, like, since we're winning all the time, he has gotten more enforced. Yeah. But like, I don't know. It's like so many people actually discredit Sanji and like don't give him enough like attention or like credit or how do you say it? Whatever.
Yeah.
Just they don't understand that how much he's giving in for the team, like how much guns he's dropping, how much flashes he's giving his teammates. Like we getting those kills with his flashes, and then when we die, he doesn't have those flashes that can give him those kills.
Sure.
You know, like he drops ops without armor, whatever. He's playing B anchor like on every map, like lurking, and I don't know, just perfect teammate. Like he doesn't whine, doesn't rage. He just give me Deagle and drops you on AK.
All right. We're putting some respect on Sanji's name. All right, that's good. That's good to know. Is it still? Because I know you were talking before about James in-game leading and stuff, but is it still? I remember for a while there, it felt like it was done by committee every week. It was either Buster, Kickit, James, someone else was in-game leading. Is it still kind of like you do it as a team? There's no super strong leader, or has James really taken over that role now?
James actually like really focuses a lot on our playstyle as a team and in-game leading, but sometimes on some like different parts of the map, me and Kickert are taking the lead. Like for example, if we take Inferno on CT side, I'm with Buster and B, and I'm telling what to do, and then James is focusing on A area, and then we talk to each other, and then we make decisions, you know. But mostly it's just James, all the like 75%.
Okay, because we were concerned about that a while ago, weren't we, Striker? That there wasn't. I remember we had this conversation. Feels like probably a year ago now, just about there being a lack of clear leadership in that team, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they kept switching around all the time, and it's literally like 60-40% between James and Kicker at one time, and then back to like Kicker and stuff like that. It's just so
back when we had Lance, it was literally every time you interview someone from Avangar or Virtus.pro when they became Virtus.pro, it's like, so who is in-game leading now? Did it change? It's like, yeah, we changed again. Now it's James again. I didn't want the in-game lead. And then next time you ask James, Kicker is in-game leading.
All right. Well, it's good that it's stabilized now because of the results. Boys, you got any more questions for YEKINDAR before we let him go?
No, I think we can let him go.
All right. So, do we want to talk about? I got the calendar. Do we just want to save that shit? Are we done for tonight? This is a live consensus strike.
I think we can end it.
All right, let's end it. It's been a good show. YEKINDAR, this is where I'm going to open the floor to you. Is there anything you want to say to anybody out there, to the fans? Do you want to talk shit to anybody? Whatever you want, mate. Go nuts.
Yo, thanks everyone for supporting us. Like, it's actually insane. I haven't been in this situation before because like VP is my actually first like top tier team, and I see all of you like who's writing, who's supporting, all the haters. Fuck you, and and I know I love you, all of you guys, and
perfect.
Here's a heart for you guys.
I love
and
it.
Girls as well. Girl. Sorry.
All right. Well, we've kept a lot of love. We'll keep spreading the love. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It was great to pick your brain. You were actually very entertaining, and I'm not surprised when I say that because I've seen you before in interviews and stuff, and you always seem like a kid who's got your head screwed on straight. So I look forward to seeing more from VP and you in this year. See you guys in a week in Katowice. So this has been another HLTV Confirmed episode number 26. If you want to find out more, you can head over to our Twitter at HLTV Confirmed. We have anchor.fm/HLTV for our audio only options. Our next show, I don't know, maybe next Monday.
Should be Monday.
I have a lot of media shit. I don't know exactly how it's going to look yet, but I will let everybody know ASAP. There'll definitely be a show before Katowice starts. So thank you for joining us, and we'll be back again soon. So see you later.